wouldn't necessarily say I'm crazy, simply because I've heard the voices and battled the godless things in the woods. But I must be crazy to believe. It all started with that damn book, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis.
Ooh, welcome, chat. That's right. It is Wednesday. It is the DJ Muel Twitch channel. And it is me, DJ Muel. What else were you expecting? Hello, everyone. How we doing? We got That Jess videos in the chat. We've also got Pat Potato. We've also got .zeit, which I think is how you say that. Sugary Senpai, Vordrella. How we all doing, folks? What's going on? It's good to see you. Sorry for the late start today. Yeah, I just had a lot of stuff on and woke up a bit late today. Just had like not a lot of, you know, energy really, but I got it done. I've done my meal prep for like the next 4 days and shit. It's all good. It's all good. Stuff's happening. Been to the gym, you know, and now I'm here streaming. So there you go. Hello, Mamero as well. How are you doing? Welcome in. Yeah, this is a new piercing. Yeah. I mean, it's technically an old piercing because I had it pierced when I was like 19 or maybe 17 or something. And I was just really bad at like looking after it and washing it and all that stuff. So like it never really healed properly. And then I got all my hair cut off. I don't know if chat knows, but I used to have long hair down to like here. And I got it like snipped. I can't remember why. I just needed it snipped. I wanted to cut it short. And not only did I forget to pick my piercing up because they made me take my piercing out when I was getting snipped. And not only did I forget to pick my piercing up as well, so that completely healed over, but also my hair never grew back. So lose really. Apart from you could get your ear re-pierced, you can't get your hair regrown. Well, you can, but there's all sorts of weird things that might happen to you, and also it doesn't bother me that much. So there you go. So there you go. There's the story. There's the story of my right ear. And I want to get like, so I've got it like pierced there, and I want to get it pierced up here as well. So I want to have like 2 helix piercings, and I also want to get like a lobe piercing as well. So yeah, that's what I'm looking to get on that ear. Like I already literally want to get my next piercing. I'm getting like really like antsy. I'm like, oh, it looks so good. I just want to get another one straight away. And then I want to get like, I'm also thinking I might get my lip pierced. I might get my bottom lip pierced. You know what I mean? Right, going to the bottom there in the middle. I think that's a pretty cool one. And then I'm thinking about nose. I don't know if I want to get like this done. What is that? Your septum? I don't know if I want to get that done, or if I want to get like a ring there, or if I definitely want to get an eyebrow piercing. I think eyebrow piercing probably look best there, actually, because I was thinking about getting it there. Although, hang on, I need to look at my face in the camera. Where's my scar? Okay, no, my scar is there. Would they be able to like pierce with that scar, chat? Is that how it works? I should enlarge the chat on this screen, shouldn't I? Because it's like a zoomed in version of chat. I should put them behind my face because you're less important. Hey Yanshvim, how's it going? And hello Goblin Hugger. Everybody go follow Goblin Hugger. They're an amazing streamer. You got like 9 in a year? Oh my god, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, they are addictive. I'm like already addicted. I just love the idea that I just had someone get a fucking needle and go through my ear, and I'm not even arsed. It's fucking sick. I love it, and it looks cool as shit. Do you know what I mean? As soon as you got your first piercing done, you pierce Ashes, so when are you coming back for your next one? Yeah, for sure. What's your latest piercing? Pat Potato, because you said you need your latest to heal. You might turn into Elon Musk. Hair regrowing is scary stuff. Why would that turn me into Elon Musk? Just like how he looks? Or something. Because yeah, he went bald, didn't he? And now he's got like a full head of hair. It does just look like Lego hair though, innit? Do you know what I mean? I'm not like... I'm really not that fussed, you know what I mean? I've even thought about, and I might actually do this, I've even thought about, because the thing is that my hair here, you'll see it if you pay attention, like, over the course of streams and stuff, yeah? You'll see that my hair grows thick as anything, like, on the sides, but on the top, there's fuck all. So I've got, like, a horseshoe kind of haircut, and what I've been thinking, yeah, is if I let it grow, but just, like, keep shaving the top, I could have like a Keith Flint sort of like, and like spike it up at the back here. I think that would look pretty fucking rad, do you know what I mean? I think that would look pretty fucking gnarly. So, I don't know, maybe I'm going to get that done. See how it goes. You can only experiment, can't you, chat? You can only experiment, see what it looks like. See how it feels. Hey, Kiri, how you doing? Good to see you. You did your second and your third earlobe on December. Hell yeah. How you doing, Adorable? A second and third on your earlobe. So did you do 2 at the same time? Because I've been told that you're not supposed to have more than 1 piercing at the same time because your body needs resources to heal it or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, really. Hello, Ezra Forwen. How you doing? It would. If you don't like it, there's always the scissors. It's true. It's true. Estrogen is trying to make me into a wolf girl. My hairline is desperately trying to link up with my wild-ass eyebrows. Cool. That's cool. So you're, like, noticing, like, hair thickening with just estrogen? Or are you on, like, finasteride as well? Because I know some trans girls who are on finasteride. And I've said to my partner, like, maybe she might want to go on finasteride, but what do I know, you know? Hey Andy, how are you doing? What's going on? My roommate got 6 piercings at once, 3 in each ear. So does that not, like, make it way longer to fucking heal then? I'm on Decapeptyl as a T blocker. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Hello, Johnny. I don't know if I just said hi to you. Everybody go follow Johnny. He's a lovely lad, lovely streamer. What is going on? Welcome in. You never had a hairline problem before E to start with, but now you're getting more and more hair. That's interesting. I love like learning about what HRT does for people. It's really interesting. I got my last pierced in the same place as yours, Muel. It's still healing 9 months later. Doesn't hurt or anything. I can sleep on it. Maybe that's why it hasn't healed yet. It's just still a bit puffy. It's still a bit puffy. That's really interesting. Well, they do say it's like 3 to 6 months for your helix to heal, right? Have you been cleaning it every day and every night with saline solution? Or have you been being crusty and using witch hazel? Because I've heard many reports that people seem to think that witch hazel is very good for healing piercings, and what ends up happening is it just gets infected because it doesn't actually clean your fucking ear. You just put a herb in it, like a herb oil in it or whatever. Oh, okay, so it can take like the full year. Oh, okay, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. Want to get my nips done, but doing wrestling with that healing might not be a great idea. Yeah, like I do want to get my nipples done as well. My partner says that they're too small though. My partner was like, yeah, he might be like too small. Because before she went on estrogen, she wanted to get her nipples pierced, but they were too small. But now her nipples, well, I shouldn't say this. Should I say that? She wouldn't, I don't know if she'd like me saying that. Just stick some leaves in it. Yeah, it's fine. It took her like 4 months to heal. She was told not to change the jewelry out for 8 months or so. Okay, cool. Okay, so like maybe it didn't heal then. I don't know, that's weird. My piercer was a bit of a renegade and told me not to use anything other than water. You really should be using saline solution. You know, I don't want to like pierce-splain anyone out here, but like I think just using water seems like a little bit weird. That doesn't sound right. Saline solution should be what you what you're doing, I think. I don't know if you can just like rinse it with water and then that'll be fine. Once had a top of the ear piercing that was puffy for ages. It wasn't infected, just I don't know, maybe they went wrong somehow. Took it out and got it redone later and that went fine. Yeah, like I think you're just, even if it doesn't hurt, you're supposed to not sleep on the ear that you've had it pierced, right? Because it will make it heal at an angle, and that can probably stop it from healing as well, right? You know what I mean? That's crazy. Like six. What was it that you said, Goblin Hugger? 6 piercings at once, 3 in each ear. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Mental. Then you get piercing bumps. Yeah, it can make piercing bumps as well. Hold up, there's like a graphic that you can look at. That you got to go in for like downsizing as well, innit? That's another thing. Did you get it downsized? I want to hear about this, chat. I want to hear about downsizing because they told me about this in the shop, and I was a little bit like, this sounds like they're trying to get me into so I can pay more money. But then I think it doesn't cost anything. I think they do the downsizing for free. So, hold up. You might have to pay like £10 for the new stud. Downsizing piercing. So like, yeah. Almost fainted when I got 5. 6 is oof. Some people got that high pain tolerance. So this is like, I don't know who this is. This is something called the Fall. I don't know, it might be rubbish. Might be bollocks. But what they say is, yes, that's right, chat. We're going to be talking about kink in a bit. What they say is piercing aftercare. Rules followed during the healing process. Do not sleep on your new piercing. Avoid touching your jewelry and piercing. This means absolutely no turning. Keep cosmetics, creams, and lotions off your piercings. So, like, if you moisturize, don't put that on there either. Try to avoid submerging piercings in standing water like pools, hot tubs, and lakes. Tight or restrictive clothing directly on the piercing can irritate the healing wound. Never force jewelry to move. You don't have to twist or turn the jewelry to clean or heal your piercing. So even when you're cleaning it, don't move it around. Do you know what I mean? Don't twist it, don't turn it or anything like that. And then the downsizing thing, you need to downsize because of this. Like if you check this out, so like when you get like your fresh piercing, it'll be like this bit here, right? So like the skin will like swell up and it'll fit the bar. But then as the swelling goes down, you got like wiggle room in between the ear, in between the skin and the piercing. So then you got to get a tighter one so that it heals tighter to the flesh, right? Because then if you don't downsize it, you'll have things like this happen and it won't heal properly, innit? So that's probably why you've not had yours healed, innit? Maybe, I don't know. Again, first piercing I've had in literally like 15 years or some shit. So, not an expert, but this is just what I've been told. You're learning so much about piercings. Well, Jess, if anyone else is feeling like they've learned something in this stream, they should consider giving me money because this is my job. You should give me money. You should donate and sub off Twitch. Just saying. You don't have to, but, you know, that would be neat because, you know, you're getting knowledge, aren't you? You know. Yanshafim says, my piercer told me saline solution was a myth. Do they also think that vaccines are a myth? Were they a very crusty hippie? Like, were they wearing a drug rug? And it's been okay for me anyway, but obviously I'm no expert. I just might have been lucky. I mean, you know, like, the fact that it took 9 months to heal is not like, I wouldn't say that that's lucky. Did you say 9 months? Infected once. What did you say? Yeah, 9 months later. It's still healing. That doesn't sound lucky, not gonna lie. I didn't downsize my helix at all, but I probably just got lucky. I did get a bump on it, but crushed up aspirin paste on it and it went away. You put what are people doing with their fucking piercings, man? You put crushed up aspirin paste. So whoa, let me get this straight. You mashed up some aspirin pills and just put that on your fucking pierce. Is that what you did? That's mental. That's absolutely mental. I'm learning so much about chat. You did just a little bit. That's what you did. It worked though. Well, did it though? That's the question. Did it work? Yeah, I think this is why you got to downsize it. I get angry every time I remember in school we got a piercing education lecture when we were just shown infected and nasty looking piercings. Yeah, we never had any of that at school. I've used chamomile tea bags on angry piercings. What the fuck? What are people doing? A chamomile tea bag? Does chamomile have healing properties that I'm unaware of? I don't know. What does it mean? Why are people doing this? Chamomile healing properties. As a traditional medicine, it's used to treat wounds, ulcers, eczema, gout, skin irritations. Fair enough. I'm learning everything today. Neuralgia, sciatica, rheumatic pain, hemorrhoids. Well, you know. There you go. I just use chamomile for my upset stomach. Listen. Oh my gosh, that Jess. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for subbing £5. Excuse me. Supporting the stream. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's doubly important when you sub off Twitch because not only does it mean that 100% of the dough goes to me, your boy, Doctor, Joctor, Moctor, right? But it also means that you're not giving money to Twitch, which is a terrible platform, especially for marginalized streamers. They don't do a lot of listening to marginalized streamers' voices. Any kind of action that they take to prevent hate or anything like that, way too late, way past the damage done date. You know? So just consider that. Anyway. Had a bump for a week or two, put the aspirin on, and it was gone within 48 hours. I tried the teabag thing too, but it didn't work for me. I guess it's whatever your body wants to do. However your body reacts or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I learned something today, chat. I learned that you can, indeed, use chamomile as a healing... what do they call it? Like when you make a poultice. A chamomile teabag healing poultice. So there you go. Assume the aspirin paste will dry it out, possibly. Who knows? Anyway, chat, it's time to do the stream. Put your hazmats on. We are going into the politics category. Oh, what's that? Electric Kitty. Thank you so much for the £2.50. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Chat, we're so close to hitting £200. Ideally, we want to hit £450 before the end of the week, because that's the deadline for unlocking double feature movie night. I know that people aren't really that incentivized to unlock double feature movie night because we've already got double feature movie night unlocked for last month, right? But think about that. 4 movies all day in the Discord. It'll be fun because we've not done it in like a month or something. And I don't know what the movies are going to be yet, but they're going to be cool. We're going to watch... oh, yeah, no, I said, didn't I? We're going to watch Tetsuo the Iron Man. We're also going to watch... we should continue the tradition of like one good film, one bad film. Oh, Shuggy Senpai!
UWU.
Thank you so much for the £10. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream, you absolute ledge. Really appreciate you, Shuggy. Thank you, thank you. Hey, Half a Laptop, welcome to the stream. How you doing? We should continue the tradition of one good film, one bad film. So, Tetsuo the Iron Man, we'll watch that. Yeah, that'll be good, won't it? And trying to think of like a bad film that we could watch. Like a bad film that's also funny. You know, so bad that it's good. I'll have to have a think because there's loads. There's so many. Anyway, you got that to look forward to. Clown? We could watch Clown. We could watch Clown. I wouldn't be opposed to that necessarily. I'm really feeling watching the Elephant Man as well, to be honest. Does chat fancy watching The Elephant Man, like the David Lynch film, The Elephant Man? Because it's really sad and it'll make you cry. Anyway. We are going to start the stream. And it's not necessarily politics, but it is literally like, you know, Muel taking a suggestion. Well, I've been thinking about watching Clown. Could we watch Hairspray, the Divine movie? That sounds like a really good shout, to be honest. Hairspray is pretty fucking good. Hey, Uni the Dino, how you doing? Listen, if I ask for suggestions and people give me suggestions, that's different, isn't it, than people going, you should watch this. Yeah, the John Waters version, we definitely wouldn't be watching, like, the fucking John Travolta version. I watched the new D&D film, what with the sexy Kirkman in it. Who's that? Sexy Kirkman? What are you on about? Who's that? Anyway. Listen, chat, we're going to be talking about dominance being manipulated. Are they being manipulated? Are you manipulating your dom? Right? We're jumping in to some sex chat, some kink and sex chat. So if that's not your bag, probably best to come back in about an hour or so. But we're going to be watching some Evie Lupine. Evie Lupine is really cool. I think she's really based. She does a lot of good stuff about kink. I watch her videos off stream quite regularly, but this should be an interesting watch. Here's a link to the video. Please give her a like, a subscribe, a comment, all that stuff. Support our friendly content creator friends, even though I don't know if she's actually a leftist or whatever, but I think sex can be quite political, can't it? Do you know what I mean? Especially BDSM. So let's check it out. Let's see what she's on about. And let's get cracking. Hey, Maxime, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. My name is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel. And today I have another video for you all. Today, we're going to be talking about unhealthy motivations behind submission, as well as how some subs might be manipulating their doms in their relationships. Or maybe not. We're going to talk about it. So this is part of an unofficial series on my channel where we talk about the not so pretty parts of power exchange. The conversations people don't normally like to have about how this isn't all sunshine and roses. And I have a few related videos that cover similar areas to this that I think together with this video make for a really nice holistic conversation. So I have one where I talked about the toxic side of submission, and I have another where I talked about how submission is not a substitute for adulthood. That later one is an older video. I think it's an oldie but a goodie, though I haven't watched it in a while, so please be warned about that. And essentially why I want to talk about this today is because one of you all reached out to me and you shared a social media post you had been seeing making the rounds, and wanted to know my thoughts about it. Did I agree, disagree? What is my general take on motivations behind submission? And I think this is a really good subject because we do spend a lot of time on this channel talking about why people enjoy different kinks. But we don't don't necessarily talk about the darker side of that. We tend to stay pretty positive, but not all motivations are made equally. But before we get into all that, let's go ahead and read this post because we are going to be using it as a springboard for a larger conversation.
Okay.
So the post starts out by saying, "Truth bomb, offering to serve, so that you can feel chosen and worthy, so that you can gain a sense of belonging, so that you can obtain connection in return, so that you can lessen your risk of rejection, so that you can prove your value to yourself, so that you can placate feelings of insecurity, so that you can win over a dominant you desire, is manipulation." Truth bomb dropped. And this is totally an aside, but there's something about the energy of this post that really reminds me of the alpha male podcaster genre.
Yeah, that's initially what I thought as soon as I saw that. I was like, hang on a second. When you're telling a submissive, you're not allowed to get this, I don't know, this feeling of fulfillment from being a submissive, it's kind of like, well, who are you to say that, right? Who are you to tell a submissive what they, what they're getting out of kink play, what they. It's such a I haven't really spoken about kink or BDSM for a while on the stream, and to tell you the truth, it's because I've not really been doing a lot of it. But I've been getting back into it recently with my partner, and just sort of the Evie does some really good videos explaining what kink can be and how wonderful and beautiful it can be in terms of she did this really good video, I think it was last week she released it, where she was talking about how a lot of people get lost in the technicality of kink. So for example, as a rope top, I've always found it very, very confusing, learning all the knots and learning all the stuff, and I always have to use a tutorial in that, and you need to get out of the headspace of thinking that is really important, learning all that stuff and keeping it inside. There are very, very basic safety things that you need to know. Do you know what I mean? Bad practice, when you if you're gonna choke someone, what's the right way to choke someone? If you're gonna tie someone up, do they have knowledge of where the safety shears are if anything should happen to you and stuff like that? And you need to know where they are as well as the dominant, in case anything goes wrong. And but there are a lot of other technical aspects where it's oh, you need to know every rope, every knot to tie and stuff like that. And it's you don't really, you kind of don't. Do you know what I mean? It's if you just want to wrap someone's arms up like that, do you know what I mean? And as long as you're checking in with them and making sure that they're comfortable and it's not hurting them and stuff like that, and you just tie it with a standard a shoelace knot, whatever, you do what you want in it. Do you know what I mean? It's whatever works for you. The what you want to get out of a kink scene, really, for me personally, should be reflected in how you make it a performance. It should be art, right? Even if nobody's watching, it should be art. And that can be anything from adding a colored light into the room, or putting on a certain type of music, or having someone the sub or the dom play a video game or something like that. Whatever it is, you're doing a scene. Do you know what I mean? You're doing a scene. And that's why it's called a scene, because it's not real. You're acting something out, right? Whatever it is in your head that is that you get fulfillment from kink, dominance or submissiveness or whatever. You're creating this environment where whatever it is that you get out of it is being fulfilled, right? Knowing the ways to successfully stop having fun is just as, if not more important than knowing the ways to have fun. Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, there's nothing fun about potentially losing a life, right? So, you can always buy new ropes. You can always I don't know. Yeah. Basic safety is very important. Yeah, it super is. Hey, Lost Futures, how you doing? Welcome in. But anyway, just sort of getting sidetracked there. I think that like, as a dominant, sometimes you need to like be aware of like what someone who's submissive wants to get out of a scene. Well, no, you need to know that all the time. But if things start to become apparent during scenes, or if things start to be, communicated to you in different at different times, where you're thinking like, this seems like this might be very unhealthy. Do you know what I mean? Or there's like toxic things related to this. Then maybe that's the time that you like sit back and have like a conversation. But I don't think it's like necessary to like gatekeep kink like this. Like, if kink is the only thing that makes you feel chosen and worthy, great, do kink, right? Gaining a sense of belonging. A lot of people get a sense of belonging from the kink community. They totally do. Obtaining connection is an interesting one, because it's like, well, you will get a connection from someone that you're doing a scene with. You will. Like, what kind of connection that is entirely depends on the person, but like, so that you can lessen your risk of rejection. And it's like, well, also there's the thing here as well, like offering to serve, like what are you offering to serve? Like, what does offering to serve mean? Is it like supposed to be, I don't know. It seems to be coming from like someone who understands a little bit of kink, because they're talking about like winning over a dominant that you desire. Like, so, that's not necessarily like your fault if you get like attached to someone who's emotionally distant, or like, isn't interested in you. It's not like that can just happen, right? It's not because you're like, I mean, the dominant could be manipulating you for sure. Hey Mark, how's it going? The post kind of reads of degradation kink in itself. Yeah, kinda. The typography tells me something is off right away. Recently watched a Hannah Witten video on trying rope bondage, and the instructor was quite chill about proper technique and stuff, reassuring. Yeah, like, you don't need to like think. There are like various things that you need to know about rope play. Like, for example, there's like a nerve. If you're going to be tying someone up like this, like with the hands behind the back, there's something that you need to know, which is that like there is a radial nerve that shoots down from your like, I think it's from like your shoulder here, and it like swerves around, it goes underneath your delts and goes right down to like your wrist, basically, like all the way to the top of your wrist. And you need to find out where that is, because if there's too much pressure on that for like an extended amount of time, you will like be stuck like this, and you won't be able to do that potentially for the rest of your life, like depending on how long you've been fucking tied up like that for. So there's definitely stuff like that you need to be aware of. But like, yeah, fucking, it's as long as you got like the main safety things, it's all good. Yeah, this is just like, it's just like a really weird post. But let's see what Evie's got to say about it. No, it's not the vagus nerve. It's called the radial nerve. But I think the vagus nerve is part of, obviously, the same kind of stuff. It might go to the thumb. It's one of the ones that does the wrist. Oh, it's the one that does the wrist. I don't know if the one, I don't know, just kind of like moving your thumb, you can feel sort of like where that goes in your arm. Sort of. It's a bit like difficult to tell. But yeah, anyway, listen, the body is a complicated thing, right? You need to be aware of these things.
Desire is manipulation. Truth bomb dropped. And this is totally an aside, but there's something about the energy of this post that really reminds me of the alpha male podcaster genre. Like, I would expect this to be along the lines of uncomfortable truths women don't want to hear about how men think about them or something like that. I don't know. And
yeah,
I think with this post, I do want to say off the bat that I could be completely misinterpreting what the original creator here is trying to say. I'm going off of my own interpretation. That is not necessarily what was meant. I am assuming that by offering to serve, what they are meaning is getting into a DS relationship or trying to be a submissive, not just high protocol service, but submission in a more general way. Could totally not be the case and could be totally wrong by what is meant or intended by this post.
Wait, Mark says, hearing about the radial nerve in a context other than bottom surgery, like, oh my god, fancy seeing you here. Wait, what do you mean? So, like, the radial nerve, is that used in bottom surgery for, like, trans men, trans masks? I'm just going to Google this. Radial nerve bottom surgery. Radial nerve injury and diagnosis.
Hello, old chum.
Oh, hey, Zoop. How's it going? I think I recognize you from the Red Planet chat. How's it going? Welcome in. This is this video. That's what it is. They take that nerve for fallow. Wait, they take the whole fucking nerve? No fucking way. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
But we are using it more as a springboard.
Every day's a school day.
We're not really gonna deeply analyze every single word of this, so stick with me. I think, first of all, what I want to say before we get into more about my thoughts with the particular points is that I don't think there is one universal correct motivator for being a submissive. I don't even know what that would look like if it was an actual thing, because I have heard so many stories about why people enjoy being submissive. I know people that are submissive because they feel like it is a true expression of who they really are on the inside, that they are only happy in DS relationships, and getting to be a submissive is who they are on a deep personal level. I know other people for whom submission is not really so much a lifestyle thing, it is more of a bedroom thing, where it is about the fun and the enjoyment and because it's hot, but it's not necessarily deeply complicated on like an intrapersonal psychological level.
So if you're like struggling to understand what Evie's on about here, if you've ever seen the film The Secretary, right, where Maggie Gyllenhaal is... I don't know who the fucking actor is that plays the main guy, whatever, the dominant guy or whatever. When she is like in this relationship with him, he is controlling her every movement, and it's something that she's into, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, she loves the idea. It turns her on. She gets a load of fulfillment from like being told how much food to eat, when to eat it, what money to spend, what to wear when she comes out and stuff like that. Like, that's like a whole dominant submissive relationship, right? That's like a dominant submissive relationship. But then, you know, there are some people like, that is not for me. I couldn't be in that headspace like 24/7. It just wouldn't work for me. I'm not into it. I'm the kind of guy that likes to do scenes, but then afterwards completely take myself out of it, and that's it. Like, I'm done. You know what I mean? So, there are different types of kink relationships. It's usually James Spader. I don't know who that is, but hi, one who reads. How you doing? James Spader, is that the guy's name? No. Oh, it is him. Yeah. It is him. Why did you say usually? Have you heard of pay pigs? They pay money to the woman. Well, not just to women. It depends what they're into. It depends, you know. But yeah, I know about pay pigs. Yeah, that's called financial domination. Yeah.
there are people that are motivated towards submission for reasons like they don't think they're good enough for anything else, or because they have really low self-esteem and they want somebody to reinforce that for them, that they should have low self-esteem, or because they want to harm by proxy, or because they want to try and escape responsibility in some fashion. But I don't necessarily think that is universal, and it's typically more complicated than that. I don't think that always means manipulation is taking place. I think it's much more likely to be people are not having the full information about themselves first before getting into a relationship. They don't disclose that, and it becomes a compatibility issue. I can totally see it be the case that somebody who is a dominant, that is that way because that is truly who they are in their soul, might feel manipulated if they get into a relationship where the person is only doing it because it's like a hot role play for them. And that level of commitment or personal importance might feel like, hey, I'm being tricked into being in this relationship, and I don't think my partner is really submissive. But it's hard to make blanket statements about that because yes, there are some doms that would be totally incompatible with that, but there are other doms where they're also the same way, and they do it for hot role play fun, and they're not into it because it's a deep part of.
Oh, he's in Crash. Yeah. He's in like the David Cronenberg Crash, right? That is Cronenberg that directed that one. I've not seen Sex Lies and Videotape, but yeah, so they get him for like kinky stuff, basically, is what you're saying. He's been typecast as like a kinky guy.
Who they are. And
didn't James Spader direct Justice League, Kappa, the Spader cut? Andrew, that is the worst. That's not even like a dad joke. That's like the worst joke I've ever heard in my entire life. Spader doesn't even sound like Snyder. It doesn't even remotely, it's not even close. Spader, Snyder.
I think we have to make room for all of those different motivations existing at the same time. But at the same time, I do want to recognize that yes, submissives are capable of manipulating dominant people. I think sometimes in our community, we get very pigeonholed into the idea that problems in relationships only go one way, where we have to be worried about doms doing bad things to S-types, and S-types, because of the power structure, can't do bad things to dominants. And I don't think that is the case. I think it can look differently.
Hey, Emmy, what's going on?
But it's not that it doesn't happen at all. I think this is why we have terms like topping from the bottom. I think these days that term has been completely overused and reduced down to basically mean a bottom that has opinions, or a bottom that's too bossy. But when you look at, I think, the original intention for why people wanted to say that, it was a way of signaling, hey, this is a bottom that's going outside of the pre-negotiated boundaries of our dynamic, of our relationship, of the scene, and I don't appreciate that. I don't like that. So yes, I do think that subs can hurt, manipulate, do terrible things to their dominant partners, and I think that if we pretend that subs are all these universally incapable,
Huska, how's it going?
ineffectual doormats, we are going to overlook a lot of problems in this community. But
yeah, so she's right. It's like, so my wonderful friend Sophie from Mars said it to me a while ago, and she calls them toxic bottoms, right? And it's kind of like this isn't necessarily what she was talking about, like specifically what Evie's talking about, but like, you know, you may have like a bottom or a submissive in a relationship who is just like, you know, the way that they've understood or come to being a submissive is that they are like, well, I'm just a baby and I can't make any decisions for myself, so I'll just go along with everything that my partner says. But actually, when something happens that they don't like, because of the idea that they've got in their head that they are like, you know, the dominant should be in control, the dominant should know what I like. So obviously he thinks I like this, or they think I like this, and why am I not liking this? This is horrible. And then that turns into like resent. It turns into like, you know, annoyance, festering bad opinions towards your partner, etc., etc. So yeah, it's like, you know, it's entirely possible, right, to be a bottom that is, you know, abusive in some way, whereby you're like not quite communicating your needs, and that ends up coming out as like an attack on your partner or the top, right? What are your thoughts on Kink Parade? I've never heard of Kink Parade, so I don't know what that is. So I have no thoughts on it, Zoop.
Does that mean I think everything on this list is necessarily manipulation? I don't think so. So when I look at things like wanting to be submissive because you want to be chosen and feel worthy, or
it sounds pretty good if it's real, but I've never heard of it. So
I go, wait, how is that manipulation? And also, why is that a bad thing? Because
that sounds pretty good, Husker.
From my perspective, that's why the kink community is a community. It's not just individual people having individual relationships. And please forgive me for what I am about to do, but I am sort of about to invoke back in my day, but not really back in my day, but in the ye olde so-called old guard times, this was something I think was a pretty well-known factor of why people got into BDSM or leather spaces, because it wasn't just about a personal drive towards I want to be with this person to selflessly serve them and no one else, but because there was that sense of community and chosen family and being protected and togetherness and community support. That was a really important backbone of what eventually became the modern BDSM community, because when you're living in a society that is very likely, if not already
Zoop says there was a controversy about it. You can look it up. Kink Pride Parade. Right, now I see what you're talking about. You're asking me how I feel about kink at Pride. That's what you're asking me, aren't you? Well, luckily for you, I did an entire video on it. A whole video just for you.
She's got fucking...
Just for you. So you could go ahead and watch that and enjoy that in your own time. Anyway, let's crack on.
Has rejected you, othered you, told you you are defective or broken or wrong, you might want to have some sense of togetherness and community and bonding and support and all of that other good stuff. Now, I don't think this post is necessarily saying you can't be a true submissive if you think any of these things, or if any of these things are part of your motivation towards submission, but it's getting dangerously close to that, and I could see some people using a post like this to tell newer subs, hey, you can't really be a true submissive if you want to have a sense of belonging or you want to feel worthy. The only way you can be worthy of being my true submissive is if you do XYZ thing instead, or if you prove your selflessness in this way. And I don't understand the logical follow through on how wanting to feel worthy could make someone not genuinely be submissive. Like, what is the end point of that? What would that behavior look like in somebody who is trying to manipulate their dominant partner? Because I genuinely can't think of it. And there are a couple of other points in here that I don't fully understand, and I would love to hear what other people think about these. I think the main one for me is, if you are offering to serve because you want to win over a dominant that you desire. And I think with this one, the way I could read that makes the most sense is when the person is only offering to be submissive and has no intention of following through on that in order to, like, get someone. Like somebody who's
right,
maybe
yeah.
even entirely vanilla that has a crush on somebody they know is into BDSM and then like pretends to be into BDSM to trick them into a relationship they don't really want to be in because they think the person's hot, or somebody who pretends to be a submissive when they're really a bottom because...
Yeah, like, you know, you should never, like, fake it, basically, to try and get someone, like, you know, it's not good on, like, either part, I guess. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I guess the way that I read this post initially was, where are we up to here? 11:29. The way that I read this initially,
offering
was like, the manipulation is happening on the side of the dom, right? So like the dom would be manipulating you, or like you're manipulating yourself. Like to claim that like a submissive is saying that they like want to feel chosen and worthy, and that's manipulation. I think that's fucking nuts. How is that manipulative? This is so like for a hot minute, I genuinely thought that this was like trying to be like women's empowerment. I thought that it was literally like, oh yeah, you know, like you know, you shouldn't be like doing things that aren't you to just like, you know, serve someone else, like blah, blah, blah. But like actually what it is it's horrific misogyny, isn't it? That's what's going on. It's like that's actually what's happening. It's like, because I think this is all aimed towards women. It feels like a very like heterosexual kink thing. Do you know what I mean? And I've got no problem with heterosexual kinksters. That's fine. You want to be straight, you want to be cisgender, no problem. You're more than welcome to practice kink, safe and consensual kink, right? That's great. But you know, it just feels very like, I don't know. It feels very cringe. You know? It's important to distinguish that for being willing to explore something one hadn't been into before, because one is hot for someone who is into it. Yeah, like this is the thing. It's like, you know, I think like again, this comes back to like you know, trying as best you can to have correct communication, like good, clear communication. Like that's the essence of kink, really. Like you have to be clear in what you want. You have to be clear in why you're doing it, what you want to get out of a scene. Like, you know, if you're with someone and like one of the first things they do is they just get out like a paddle and they go like, do you want to get spanked? And you're like, oh, maybe. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like a bit of a like, you know, what are you getting out of this? Like, what's happening? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's actually like going on here? You know, this is why for me, I don't really do kink with people that I just like met straight away. Like, I wouldn't even do it like after like a few months or whatever. I have to really feel comfortable, because it's like an expression of my vulnerability and insecurity and all this kind of stuff as a dominant. Yeah, it just doesn't really, I don't know, it just doesn't really feel right. It just feels a little like, you know, unless you expressly say like, oh, I kind of want to like try this out. Like, do you want to try this out with me? And like, you know, definitely like, don't just say yeah because you fancy me or you like feel like you have to, like, you know. But it's tough because when people are in like a situation where you're having sex already, you're kind of like impassioned and you know, you're kind of hot already, and it's like maybe something will happen and you're like think that you want it, but like actually you don't, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's really important to like think that stuff through.
Submissive when they're really a bottom because they want to be play partners with someone. But even then, is that a super common problem? I can't think of any examples off of the top of my head. I think another way of looking at this that was sort of my first instinct reading it is, wait, are you saying that subs aren't supposed to approach doms that they like, because if that's how a DS relationship starts, it could be manipulation? And
yeah, it's
once
ridiculous.
Again, forgive me because I'm about to invoke the old guard once more, but back in ye olde times, the typical way that people would start a DS relationship was by an S-type or a wannabe S-type approaching a potential D-type with a letter of petition, basically a cover letter where you would outline, this is what I bring to the table, this is what I want, this is why I want to serve you, what do you think? And it was a way for S-types to communicate who they wanted to be in a relationship with, and then the D-type would take it from there. So is it a form of manipulation to communicate to a dom that you like them and want to submit to them? Or I am, again, not really
definitely not
fully seeing the entire point here, maybe. And I think when you are looking at this from a particular angle, it is very possible to misconstrue and take this to mean what I think it might potentially mean, which is, if you are a submissive, if you approach a dom and want to submit to them because you are into them romantically or otherwise, that is a form of manipulation. And I don't think that is a healthy message to be sending people. But all of that being said,
I also think that, like, anyone who, like, calls their, like, shit truth bomb is, like, a little bit cringe. I've been looking for, like, truth bomb to, like, try and find this account or whatever, but all I've been able to find is this, like, one podcast. It's like truth bomb podcast, and it's like, against censorship, comfort, the enemy of success, create fake hardships until it transforms you, and then, like, burn all your ships. You know, $15 minimum wage, a business death wish. Policy should outweigh emotion. Fuck your feelings, the rational choice for the 2020 election. You know, it's just like, oh man, truth bombs. They're definitely truth bombs. You know that it's definitely true, yeah? You know that it's definitely true because they have to call it truth bombs so that you're aware that it's true. Like, that's what it is, isn't it? Hey, Shakespeare, how you doing? Yeah. Over communication is good. It is. It's good.
I do
usually
think
completely
there are
wrong,
some
yeah.
motivations behind wanting to be a submissive that are worth looking into further. And I don't want to give a hard and fast healthy versus unhealthy dichotomy here, because I think that almost everything exists on a spectrum, and I think that sometimes it's going to be acceptable and sometimes it won't, and it'll totally be up to the individual people entering into the DS relationship to decide that. I think what is a better way of looking at this is not really healthy versus unhealthy, but how aware of it you are, how you think it might affect your ability to have a DS relationship, and reflecting in order to decide whether or not you want to get some outside help first before getting into BDSM. So number one, the first thing I see that I think can be thought of in this way as potentially maybe not being a great motivation without some further introspection first is when you want to be a submissive because you want to avoid adult responsibilities or because you want to make your life easier. And I think, again, this one very much is on a spectrum where, yeah, if you want to be a submissive for other reasons and also you're really crap at time management and you want somebody to come in and help you organize your day, your schedule, your life, whatever, I think that can be a healthy thing. And I think on the other end of the spectrum, there are people that are drawn towards submission because of a misconception about submissives, where they think that all submissives are brainless doormats, where they just blindly do whatever the dom says to do, and they have no authority, no agency, no responsibility, no account.
Yeah, that's just like not good shit. Like if you come across someone who is like just willy-nilly saying yes to absolutely everything, like, and not even having a discussion about it and shit like that, that's like a bit of a warning sign that like maybe they aren't quite thinking things through. You know, I was talking about like toxic bottom stuff, you know, before, like, you know, always like it's all well and good someone saying like, yeah, I'll do that, But if you get a vibe that they're like not into it, you should just stop, right? And you should just be like, I just want to make sure, are you definitely into this? Like, are you definitely down for this? We could stop, we could go home, we could do whatever. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes people just do that, you know?
Sub off Twitch, sub off Twitch. It's a Husker watching at his new job, sub off Twitch.
Thank you so much, Husker, for the sub off Twitch. Sub off Twitch. Husker watching at his new job. Sub off Twitch. Thank you so much for the £7.95. I think it was. I might have just got that wrong. Thank you so much for the dono. Really appreciate that. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. Chat, we're so close. Let's get to £250 before the end of the night. That'd be really, really cool. That'd be really, really cool. Chat, I'm also going to go for a wee real quick. I'll be back in a tick. That's right, it's piss. The chair reacts. That's what everybody's here for. That's what everybody wants to see.
Accountability, and they just basically don't have to worry about thinking about anything or doing anything because the Dom is going to do everything for them in their life, from their taxes to deciding what they eat, what they wear, if they go to work, how long they're at work. Just their entire life down the list is controlled by that person, not as a negotiated thing, but as an inherent part of being a submissive. And this by itself is a complicated conversation, and I don't know if I'm doing the best job of talking about it right now, but essentially
it's hard.
You have to be aware of when you're getting into BDSM and you're getting into a DS relationship. Why am I doing this? Why am I into it? And how much burden am I placing on my partner that I'm just going to assume is going to happen without having a conversation about it first? And I do know lots of people that when they are in DS relationships, they get a lot of support in this direction, but there's a line between getting help and completely having all of your responsibility, agency, and accountability taken away from you, and that you are no longer expected to do some of the basic things that most people would do in a relationship, even in a DS relationship. If you think that getting into a DS relationship will be a shortcut that will make your life easier and completely remove all of your responsibility towards yourself and put it on somebody else, that's worth thinking about more before you actually get into a DS relationship. My second example is going to be submissives that are motivated towards submission for entirely selfish reasons and do not think about the dominant partner at all in the equation. You know, the sort of subs where they go, oh yeah, I want to do this, 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 and this, and they don't ever stop and ask, like, what do you want to do?
Right, yeah, it's like, you know, there are definite ways to be like, you know, used as a dom, right? You know, shock horror, it's possible for dominants to be like people pleasers. It's possible for doms to be like, you know, I guess submissive in a way. Like, you know, oh wow, crazy. There's nuance and there's different things going on here. Do you know what I mean? Oh my gosh. But yeah, essentially, it's like, you know, sometimes you could be taken for a bit of a ride, you know, and I think like a lot of the time people forget that like sometimes doms need aftercare, doms need a bit of a hug and reminding that they're like not a monster because they get off on this like, you know, violent shit. And it's like, oh, fuck you, dude. Imagine that coming into the fucking stream and being like, say my name. Yeah, fuck you, piece of shit. Literally talking about how I'm a fucking dominant. Do you know what I mean? And you're there like, say my name. Yeah, all right. Fucking ask that to the unban request, you dickhead. There is like a weird thing going on Twitch at the minute where it's literally like there's apparently like, you know, more weird people coming into like people's streams and stuff. I saw this in Kira's chat earlier. There's like these weird people coming in. One of them said he was going to murder me. Literally was like, I'll murder you, bro. I was like, okay, go for it, pal. Like, yeah, definitely the people who murder people definitely talk about it in Twitch chats. Like, they definitely in the Twitch chat go, I will murder you, bro. Like, that's definitely what happened. Like, I know it's not like half term in the UK, but is it like some kind of school holiday in the US or something? Like, what's going on? Like, are the kids off school or something? Like, what is this?
What are you into? Why are you a dominant? They have this misconception that all dominants like to do basically everything under the BDSM umbrella, and that...
Yeah, right. Like, you know, what you might ask a dom to do might be like way out of their wheelhouse, right? Way out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me personally, no fisting. Yeah, it's just not my thing. Not down for fisting. I mean, I might still be down to like try it, but just like, I think like if someone said to me, can you fist me? I would be like, no, not happening. Soz, not down for that. Things as well, like I wouldn't be comfortable like putting someone in like one of those like, you know, big fucking like sort of like restrictive like gimp mask kind of things where like you have to be careful if they're breathing or not. No way. Way too much pressure, way too much stress. I'm not doing that. Do you know what I mean? I've had to ban a couple people and I average less than 2 people. I thought maybe it might be people searching the queer tags for people to be horrid in chat, which is just gross. People do that normally, Emmy. That's not like a new thing. People have been doing that for years. Since they started queer tags, since the LGBTQIA plus tag was even like an option on Twitch. If you've got transgender in your tags, you'll be getting it way worse than me. Loads worse than me. No, this is different. This is not like weird. This is not like normal queerphobic stuff. This is just like weird sort of like definite kids. Do you know what I mean? Like definite kids. Like there's a person who came in here before and called me like lib TARD, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I see, yeah, like okay, we're doing normal childlike insults. I had one came in last night saying stuff kind of gross in Spanish using the slang word for dicks, and I'm a nobody, probably a kid. Yeah, definitely. Double says, honestly, one of the big reasons I prefer subbing over doming is just how much more stressful doming seems, especially when it comes to certain kinks. You can really hurt someone. Yeah, and like, you know, look, like, I get off on like, you know, administering pain to people. I get off on like, you know, tying people up and, you know, spitting on them, calling them names, you know, all that kind of stuff. There's like something that it does for me that it just, I can't get from like regular sex. Do you know what I mean? Even if we're doing like rough sex, right? I just can't, you know what I mean, get it from that. And so, you know, I enjoy that, but it is stressful. There are stressful things that you have to be aware all the time of, you know, the vibe of what's going on. And if you get the vibe right, it can be really, really, really good. Do you know what I mean? If it can be really, really good, like if you get the vibe right, you can have like an amazing scene and stuff like that. And I'm really, you know, looking forward to like doing more stuff with my partner because hopefully that's, you know, we're going to be able to get some like really incredible scenes and stuff like that because we have a very deep relationship. We have a very like deep loving relationship. And I feel like that, me personally, that's what I need in order to get something like that. But, you know, it does stress me out. Like, caring and not wanting to like damage someone, like actually damage someone. Do you know what I mean? Obviously you could be too careful Do you know what I mean? And in a way where like you dance around it too much in your head and you go, oh, I'm not going to do it because it's too risky. Like, you know, I would say give it a bit like, you know, a bit more thought and a bit more time to think about it. Maybe you're just not into it if that's how you're thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, don't force it, essentially, you know, don't force it. I feel like I might be a switch. Like there's a part of me that wants to take the lead, but there's also a service part of me that would like to please someone too. Yeah, and you could be like, here's the thing, like I do genuinely think that everybody is like a switch inside, right? Because if you think about it, yeah, I'm a dom, and there are parts of me that are just like inherently sadist, where I'm like, yes, I get a kick out of doing this to people, right? And I like get a kick out of the idea that is like painful to someone, or like I've just humiliated them or something like that, right? But there are other parts where it's like, if I am making someone feel safe, I like making someone feel safe. I like being able to provide that service. Do you know what I mean? I like being able to like create an environment where someone feels safe to be with me in that kind of headspace, and that to me is like semi-submissive, because it's serving someone, isn't it? It's giving someone something that they need, right? So it's, you know, it's nuanced, isn't it? But then like if you like if there's something that says to you that you want to also be like, you know, a people pleaser and like serving someone and stuff like that as well, you should totally explore that. Like there's nothing wrong with being a switch. Being a switch is super important, like super valid. And you know, if there's bits of you that wants to be like, the more and more that you explore, the more and more that you're gonna like figure out things, right? Do you know what I mean? Like I've definitely like considered the closer that I've got with my partner, like definitely considered like subbing. Do you know what I mean? I'm like thinking in my head like, oh, would I be down for subbing? Do you know what I mean? It's not something I'm quite sure of yet, but like again, like this can be like different from person to person as well. It's not just like a clear-cut black and white thing. It's like Evie says, there's a spectrum. Like there's a spectrum to everything, right? Spectrum in sexuality, gender, everything. Everything in life is a spectrum. There are not these like neat little boxes that we all fit into, you know, and there's no need. It can be hurtful and it can be traumatic to try and squeeze ourselves into them. Do you know what I mean? Providing safety and comfort can be a power move. A dom's job is to create that space in which a sub feels comfortable to submit. Yeah, for sure. Like I feel both of those things, you know?
The reason why we have limits is to keep subs and bottoms protected from the big, mean, scary doms. So if they didn't have those limits, would do literally anything and everything to that person, which is not the case. Everyone can have boundaries, limits, preferences, desires, motivations, and yes, not every dom is going to be into every single kink. I see this especially online with male subs approaching female dominance. Like every femdom is going to be into every single kink on their list. Right. And I think if they like press the right combination of buttons in a conversation, the kink...
It's always men, by the way. Like sometimes you'll get like a non-man saying something like this to you, but overwhelmingly, people who get this shit wrong are just men. Right? And it will be like, you know, I've had guys say to me, what are you into? And I've said, well, what do you mean? And they're like, it says you like kink on your profile. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't really do that unless I get to know people quite well. But like, I'm into this, and this. And I give them a list of the stuff that I'm into. But then they'll be like, can you piss on me? And I'm like, just gave you a list of stuff that I like. Pissing is not on there, right? So why have you said that? And they're like, oh, I just thought I'd ask. And it's like, no, bro, it's not how it works. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, like, but, and those kind of conversations are like an immediate turn off for me. Like, as soon as someone says anything like that, in fact, as soon as someone says, what are you into, without sort of like prefacing it as like, oh, I see you're into kink. Is that something that you want to do? Like, with me, like, would you be interested in doing something like that? And like, like, it just turns me off immediately. And I'm not even like sexually into that person anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because I just know that this person is not like thinking in the way that I would need them to think in order for like something like that to develop, right? Do you know what I mean? Adorable says, I do like being a very active sub and taking the lead in terms of worship, performing acts of service, and I think it's just because nothing is more erotic to me than pleasing someone. I guess the closest term for someone like me is a service top, but I'm a side. Yeah, but like top doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing penetration, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're like, you know, fucking someone. A top is just someone who is like dominant or, you know, doing the stuff, you know? So that's fine. And again, you don't need to have like a specific term that works for you. You know, it's possible to be like a secret third thing, you know? Shake says, do you think exploring subbing could make someone a better dom? I think that like to be, look, I'm not an expert in it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like I'm not like a hugely experienced dom. Like when I have dommed, it's what I've found to work is communicating as much as you can without taking away from like the scene, right? You can make asking someone, is that okay? Do you want it harder? Do you want me to be less hard? You can make those questions hot if you want to like remain in the scene and stuff like that, and you want to keep the conversation and the communication going. I found that stuff to work really well. But when it comes to like, you know, do you need to be a sub to be a dom? No. Do you need to be a dom to be a sub? No. Like, again, if you have like a good knowledge of, maybe it's a good idea to have like a good knowledge of pain, right? Maybe like it's a good idea to like have some knowledge of like, if I hit someone at this velocity, it will hurt this much. But then again, even then, that person is going to have a different pain threshold to you. You know, I know, for example, I'm very sensitive to pain in terms of like sharp pain kind of thing. But I'm not very sensitive to like a dull pain. Like I could take a close-handed fist, like right to the fucking solar plexus, and I can be like fine. But a little slap like that on my leg, and I'll be like, ah! Do you know what I mean? So it just depends. It completely depends. Like, you're not gonna get like the full sub experience by like, you know, having an excursion as a sub or something like that. You know, I definitely think things like self-tying ropes, you know what I mean? Like to learn ties and stuff like that. That could be really helpful because it can show you how it feels to be like, you know, tied up and shit, and like if it's going to be uncomfortable for someone potentially or whatever. So yeah, definitely. In terms of like, you know, it's good to know what subs want, but you're 90% of the time going to get that through communication, not with like necessarily being a sub yourself. There are things that are important to try out for sure. Boundaries are not a negotiation. People shouldn't confuse that with being transparent up front. Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Hey, Echo Baz, sounds really scary and frustrating. It's not scary, it is just frustrating. Like, it's not like it just, the thing that upsets me about it is knowing that there will be someone out there who just goes, huh, okay, and then that could like traumatize them. That's what upsets me. Like when I think about people like that, like who are just like not thinking about like, you know, what they're saying, and they just think that like kink is just something that is like, it's done. People, everybody who does sex now does choking. Like everybody who does sex like likes to get spanked and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, you don't know like what you're getting yourself into. You don't know like what you're fucking doing. You could wake up in like 5 years time and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that to someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't know how that's going to affect you. I like the idea of pet play, sleep sacks, and seeing people in latex. There's a lot of fun stuff. You have to negotiate and find what you both feel comfortable with. Yeah, that's cool, Johnny. Yeah, all that shit's cool. Worth mentioning, your preferences will change over time. The most important thing is communicating when they've changed. Yes, absolutely. Like, I don't like this anymore. you know? I think I might like this now. I hate the "what are you into" question because I can never tell what they're looking for. Like, do you want me to list the tame stuff, or do you want me to say I like getting treated like an animal? Yeah, right, I know. It's so fucking ridiculous. Emmy says, especially if you're like me and HRT vastly changed how I experience sex. Yeah, like you might, you know, when you transition, you might like completely change the things that you like and stuff. I've heard of that. Absolutely. The terminology overlap with top, bottom, and dom sub has generated some confusion. Yeah, for sure. Setting clear boundaries and having one of those quiz apps where only the kinks you share are revealed. Right, yeah. Yeah, like you could, you know, I think even then, like if you do like the quiz, that, like, I love the quiz, right? Because it's kind of like, yeah, it's a bit of fun. It's like, whatever, like, you know what I'm on about, like the BDSM quiz thing, right? But then, like, if you take that as like you're definitely going to be into this, you don't know that, man. You don't fucking know that. Like, you don't know, like, if you come away with like a result that says that you're like a rope bunny, and you like a 50% impact or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You might, like, you know, go and get spanked and be like, this is awful. I fucking hate this. You know, yeah, you just have to learn through experience. You think about what you might be into and then find someone who wants to experiment with that with you. Do you know what I mean? A lot of it is like experimentation. Like, you don't have to like create a whole scene the first time you like, you know, do kink with someone. You don't have to like get the lights, get some props, like all this kind of stuff, and like, you know, make it really, really intense. Get the playlist on and all this stuff. You don't have to do that. You can just like, okay, you want to see what it's like getting tied up? All right, tie you up. How does that feel? Good, bad? All right, cool. You know, you can like mix it up with a bit of sex if you like. You know, it's up to you. Really, it's up to you. Hey, Tab A Slot A, how you doing? And Crack Pyrex, what's going on? Welcome in. We're talking kink.
Pop out. Like, it's not how it works. It's a mutual process, and so I think it is worth reflecting and thinking about. Okay, I want to do BDSM. Am I thinking about my partner as a whole other complicated person, or am I thinking about them as a kink gumball machine?
Right.
Which I do think is relatively easy to fix as far as this list is concerned. If you can remember that the other people you're doing kink with are whole other people, it is going to be a much richer and better experience having a DS relationship. Now, moving on to my third example. This one is very closely tied to the first example. This is people who are motivated towards submission because they don't think they are worthy of anything else, and the only way they will find love or companionship is by throwing themselves at somebody's feet and going, please, master, take me in. And I feel really bad because having low self-esteem or self-worth issues is a very common problem. At the same time, you can't have that be the only reason you are being a submissive. And I think it would be very hurtful for a lot of dominant partners if they find out that the only reason their sub is with them is because they don't think they are good enough for another relationship. Because on some level, this is communicating, I think that BDSM is the bottom of the barrel, and the only reason I am doing this is because I am not good enough to have a real vanilla egalitarian relationship, and I have to settle for this.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing for a dominant to hear.
No,
that is not a nice mutually
that would upset the shit out of me.
Because DS should be something that both people find fulfilling, not just something they're tolerating because they don't think they're good enough for something else.
Yep.
Now, my next example is potential.
And that kind of goes for like relationships in general, right? Like, I've heard some people like really heartbreaking, and this is something that I like definitely try and like make sure that my partner is not doing, you know, because I guess being aware that like there's a power dynamic with me just being like a cis man. Doesn't matter that I'm bisexual, I'm cisgender and I'm a man, right? And I'm also masculine as well. in a relationship with a trans woman, right? And, you know, the last thing that I would want is for her to be like putting up with some stuff in the relationship that like she doesn't really quite like, just because she thinks she won't find someone else who can, like, you know what I mean, not do that stuff, right? And I've heard like my friends say similar things, do you know what I mean? And it just like it's really upsetting. It's like, you know, you shouldn't like have your self-worth, I guess, trampled over just because you think that, like, just because like that same self-worth is like stopping you from, like, you know, wanting to be with someone else, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, well, I'll just put up with this. I don't like this aspect of my partner, but I'm going to put up with it because I don't deserve anything else. Do you know what I mean? I won't be able to get anything else. Like, this is the best I can do. It's not healthy, and eventually the relationship will turn into fucking dog shit because of like resentment and shit like that. So you got to be like really aware of, like, you know, your feelings and your emotions and all that stuff. You know, feel your feelings, feel how you feel, communicate. It's all important, you know?
Really a little bit controversial, and that would be people who are motivated towards submission because they believe their gender makes them inherently submissive. And I have seen this on both sides. It tends to be people that are female supremacists or male supremacists. And it's sort of interesting they both coexist, because how can both be true at the same time? And there are people that do this from a more consensual roleplay angle, but a lot of people will say, well, I'm a submissive because women are inherently inferior to men and our place is to submit. And I don't want to yuck anybody's yum or tell anybody they can't really be a submissive, but when you are getting into a DS relationship, because you inherently believe your gender makes you submissive, and therefore you are already down here and your partner is up here, that makes meaningful negotiation in a relationship very difficult, because you're not necessarily going to advocate for yourself the same way you would if you realized that you were equals and you were deciding the terms under which you would consciously decide to give up power and authority, instead of it being something true about your gender that you already are doing but are agreeing to do in a relationship or something like that. And finally, my fifth example is people that pursue submission because they think it will be a way to find a permanent BDSM relationship or a permanent relationship at all where they can no longer be abandoned. And this is interesting because we don't necessarily have a lot of research about this, but from what I have seen, BDSM and DS relationships in particular do not last any longer than vanilla ones. In fact, oftentimes they are shorter on average than vanilla relationships because of the heightened level of communication and compatibility required in order to be able to pursue something like this. And so I am sorry to burst anybody's bubble. I know from the imagery,
it's completely absurd to think if you so if you like see a dom as you know, I guess the word is all-knowing, like all-powerful, like, you know, can do whatever they want, like in terms of like, well, they're in control of my life now, and that's how it is, and there's no way that they'll ever leave me, right? There's no way that this relationship will ever end because that's just how it is. Like, it just makes no sense. It's like a complete paradox of what you believe, because if you believe like the dom is just gonna, like, you know, they could do whatever they want, and that's what they, you know, that's the meaningfulness of the relationship, and that's why they'll never leave me. Like, what do you mean? Like, if a dom could like do whatever they want, they could just leave you. Like, what you want about? And also, like, again, it's like implying, it's like she says, it's implying that like the other partner in this relationship is just like not actually a person. It's just like a tool, and like, You know, it doesn't exist. There's no person out there that's like that, I don't think. And when I've like definitely like heard about people in dom sub relationships, it's been there's been a lot of stuff that has gone wrong. In particular, sort of like the more intense ones where, you know, there are a lot of feelings going on. You know, there's a lot of like extreme kink going on, and this stuff can be like so high tension. And you know, some people get a thrill out of relationships like that, but like the other side of it can be like incredibly crushing, soul destroying. You know, the low when you come off that high of that like incredibly like adrenaline paced relationship where like, you know, you're both doing these like unspeakable things to each other, and it's all crazy and like magical and you know, it couldn't exist in any other form, like, you know. And then like all of a sudden you have an argument and you're not speaking to each other for 2 weeks. It's like crushing, like absolutely fucking soul destroying. So, you know, yeah, don't think of things. I think the long and short of this video is like, stop thinking of things in such a simple and black and white manner. Things aren't like that, you know?
Of collars and being together forever and the deep bonding, you might assume that BDSM or DS is a really, really good way to find somebody who will never truly leave you, because if you are willing to get naked and have them flog you or brand you or collar you, they couldn't possibly leave you, right? That would be horrible. Reality is, though, BDSM relationships end all the dang time, and none of that is an insurance against rejection. And if you are very afraid of experiencing rejection or being left, I think that is something to work on before pursuing DS, because once again, if you are getting into a DS relationship and you are coming in on this back foot where you don't want to be rejected, you might be more likely to accept things you wouldn't otherwise accept or tolerate in a relationship but I don't want them to leave me. I don't want to break up. I'll never find anyone like this. And that can end in a very unhealthy place. Now, again, to be clear, none of these things are a hard no, red flag, do not go past go, do not collect $200 scenarios. They are simply things to be aware of in yourself, guidelines, in the process of introspection, that I think are worthy of further analysis and being conscious about if you choose to pursue a DS relationship. And this really just shows why that is so important for pursuing BDSM, for pursuing a power exchange, because if you don't know this about yourself, you cannot communicate that to a partner. And some dominants are going to, like I already said, find out that their partner is only with them because they don't feel worthy of anything better and be very deeply offended by that. Other people, though, they might hear that. They might hear somebody that they want to pursue a relationship with has insecurity issues, trust issues, boundary issues, and they might go, hey, I want to be able to help you with this, because a lot of dominants get a lot out of helping people become better, improving who they are, helping them be better at the end of the relationship than they were at the beginning, especially soft.
Holy shit, she just read me for filth. just literally read me for filth.
Soft, gentle dom, caregiver types, that is a really big motivator for some dominants. And I don't want to tell them they're not really a dom because they would want to pursue a submissive that wants to feel accepted, or that their sub isn't a true submissive because of whatever thing maybe is affecting them. Like, I am not here to police anybody's motivation into what their kink is or why they're doing it. I just want people to be able to talk about it with themselves and then talk about it with other people. So going into the relationship, you can have a game plan for being able to deal with that. You can go into a relationship saying, hey, I'm new to BDSM. I really want to try these things. I would really love to have a power exchange relationship. I have some issues with XYZ I want to work on. Can you help me with that? And you leave it up to having a conversation about that, not sneaking it in there. Like if you say it, it's going to ruin everything. The one true way to ruin a relationship, kink, vanilla, or otherwise, is to conceal parts of yourself or parts of how you want to be in that relationship from the other person. Honesty will almost always get you better results. And at the end of the day, it's not our job to police other people's experience in BDSM. It is not our job to say, hey, your DS relationship over there, your motivations aren't good enough. You need to rethink this. Or your motivations are actually manipulation. You don't even realize you're manipulating your partner. Like, how awful would that be if we just said that to people that, well, you know, I see you and your dom over there, and I heard that you're into this because you want to feel accepted. And don't you know that's manipulation? That would be such an awful thing to say to somebody out of nowhere. And I do know lots of people.
Lulu, how are you doing?
Yes, relationships where if you looked at it from the outside, a lot of people, maybe even most people, would say, oh, why are they doing that? That's really bizarre. That seems unhealthy. Or there's no way that's consensual, even though it totally is. And it's not any of our freaking beeswax, okay? We are not the people in that relationship. We do not get to decide if people's motivations for kink are good enough or not. That is, once again, I'm going to say it one more time, up to the people in the relationship. We can have standards for ourselves. We can have things we don't want to see in our partners or would want to see in our partners. All of that is totally fine. However, externalizing that, generalizing that, saying this has to be the case for anyone doing kink, not just with me, that is where it becomes a problem. And there's a sentiment with a lot of posts like this where it comes off like the only true way of doing power exchange is if you were doing it because you want to give yourself to somebody else for entirely selfless reasons and you get nothing in return. And that is some people's BDSM, but certainly not most of them, I would be pretty comfortable saying so.
Sure.
In summary, finally,
thank you so much, Evie. I think that's a pretty fucking sick video. Love Evie's stuff, as per usual. Please, please, please go and show her some love. Subscribe, like, share the video, all that kind of stuff. We're moving on to the next segment. Boom, look at that. Look at that. We're straight in. We're straight in. We got music ready and everything. We're going to talk about the Section 21 Renters Reform Bill. Lulu says, I was sad I didn't get to meet you at RageCon. Listen. I was really sad that I couldn't go to RageCon, but unfortunately, last month was a pretty bad month money-wise. I just couldn't justify it. You know what I mean? It was really expensive to get up to Glasgow. Like even with getting a lift from Toasty, I don't know if you know, but Toasty said that she was going to give me and my partner a lift. But it was because it was the fucking coronation, man. Like all of the fucking like hotels and everything we were going to stay in a hostel. Right? We were going to stay in a hostel. And yeah, it was a 2-bed room in a hostel, but that was like the cheapest like 2-bed private room that we could get. And I think it was going to cost something like £200 each. And I was just like, this is fucking crazy, man. Like I can't afford this. I can't afford it. You know, which is daft, innit? Because it's like the coronation in Glasgow, of all places. Do you know what I mean? I know, mate. It was fucking nuts. It was either 200 or near enough 200. I can't remember exactly. But all I remember is that when I got the refund, I went, oh. I just literally went, oh, thank God. My fucking heart, there was like a weight off my shoulders. I was like, oh. So, you know, yeah, it was real bad. I was hoping that basically the video that I did recently was going to result in like a lot more subs and a lot more, you know, patrons on my YouTube and stuff like that, and more viewers on the on the Twitch stream and stuff, which would lead to more subs off Twitch, more donos and stuff like that. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't pan out like that, and I guess chalk that one up to experience kind of thing. But anyway, that's that. That's the end of it, and hopefully by the time there's the next one, there won't be a cost of living crisis. I'll be able to afford coming up. So we'll see. I was in town for that night for RageCon. Didn't see anyone out and about in Glasgow. Seems to be giving a fuck about the coronation. Yeah, of course. Of course. It's just dumb. It's just they just put the prices up on that weekend because they knew that they could. Do you know what I mean? Horrific. Thank you, Ezra Reza for Wem. Appreciate that. Uni the Dino says, as someone with no first-hand experience with kink BDSM, that conversation and video was super interesting to learn more about things going on in the community. Love learning about these kinds of things. Yeah, like, you know, you get some people who are, like, really against kink, and they think that, like, you know, like, there are some rad femmes who think that any kind of kink is, like, rehashing the patriarchal archetypes, you know, and basically, like, you are submitting to the patriarchy by doing kink, even if it's like lesbians who are doing it and stuff like that. And you know, obviously you get the other side of that, where there are like really intense, like conservative, like any kind of kink is like degeneracy and it's wrong, and you know, you should all be put in a camp and shit like that, you know. So it's I think that any kind of people who may be like susceptible to those kinds of arguments just through sort of like osmosis, I think it's important to talk more and educate more on like what kink actually is. I think a lot of people can get a little concerned and think like, oh my god, you know, there's all this like horrible stuff going on, and it's, you know, really intense, and it's not good, and it's basically abuse and all that. Like, yeah, you know, you gotta learn about this stuff and why it's like not that, right? Anyway, we're going into the next segment that I've got for tonight. Just a quick segment about the Renters Reform Bill. If you don't know, Renters Reform Bill is something that my union, well, not my union, our union, GMTU, the union that I do a lot of work for, a lot of activism, the union, the activism that you are funding whenever you sub off Twitch, by the way, because it's not really, I don't really get paid for it. GMTU were part of a coalition called the Renters Reform Coalition, and the Renters Reform Coalition were supporting the Renters Reform Bill, which is something the Tories ran on in the last election. They said, we will abolish Section 21. And if you don't know what Section 21 is, where have you been? It's all I ever fucking talk about. Section 21 evictions in the UK are basically a no-fault eviction, which means that the landlord can just evict you for whatever fucking reason they want, right? Which is fucking horrific, isn't it? You know, so 2 months notice, all of a sudden, that's it. You're fucked. Do you know what I mean? You've got to find somewhere else to live in 2 months. It's one of the main reasons of that people are homeless in the UK, and that's that basically. But the Tories were running on abolishing Section 21 due to like pressure from lobby groups such as the Renters Reform Coalition and all this kind of stuff. And so they said that they were going to abolish it. And we went to Westminster a month or so ago to basically lobby the government, continue to lobby the government to, like, you know, you've got to do this. And the housing minister, called Rachel McCready, I think her name was. I completely forget her name. It's either Rachel McLean or McLeith or McCready or something like that. But she said, oh, it will be abolished by August, right? But what's happening now is, since the bill got put into Parliament this week, what's happened? Well, all the landlords that are Tory MPs have said, actually, no, we don't want this. We're adopting Jeremy Corbyn's housing policies. and there are up to 30 Tory rebels considering voting against the bill if concessions are not given to landlords. Right? So, let's have a quick read of this. The government is facing rebellion against its renters reform bill from conservative backbenchers, one accusing Rishi Sunak of adopting the housing policies of Jeremy Corbyn. I'd love to know who that is. I would love to know exactly which Tory MP that is. It is understood that many of the Tory MPs opposing the bill, which is due to come before MPs later this month, are also residential landlords who would be hit by the policy to end no-fault evictions. When they say hit by the policy, what they mean is they would not be able to kick out tenants, put the fucking rent up, and also bring new people in, and just consistently keep putting the rent up at the end of every fixed term tenancy that they have, right? And it's never in line with inflation, ever. And it's never, even if it is in line with inflation, the tenants are normally working class people whose wages have not gone up in line with inflation. So again, it's more and more squeezing of the working class and threats of homelessness, threats of eviction, and all this kind of stuff, yeah? So that's how they are hit by this. They're no longer allowed to evict someone for no reason whatsoever. It's fucking insane, right? Yeah, well, you know why. Now you know why I'm an activist with GMTU, Emmy, because it makes my fucking blood boil too, right? Among those considering voting against the government are believed to include high-profile Tories such as Jacob Rees-Mogg, who lists rental income from properties in Somerset and London among his entries in Parliament's Register of Members. Now, chat, right? Let me do a quick bit of maths for you, yeah? If you have a property, and let's say you're charging £500 a month for it. This doesn't happen anymore, by the way. This doesn't fucking happen. £500 a month is a pipe dream for anyone, for any fucking renter, unless you live like somewhere completely undesirable, right? £500 a month, yeah? Let's times that by 12. So £6,000 a year you're making, right? Now, if you times that by, I don't know, 5 years, you're making 30 grand by commodifying housing, yeah? Over that time, you can expect to incur fees. Potentially, you might need to change the locks at the end of every tenancy. You might need to pay a solicitor like £100 to write up the tenancy agreement. But all in all, that's not going to come to a lot of money. That's going to come to, you're probably going to lose like £1,000 of that. So maybe you've got like, what, 29 grand left? You might get some things in the property that need fixing, you know? So maybe you might need to pay like £500 to a contractor, £500 here, £1,000 there. All in all, you're going to come out with like a lot of fucking money in it. Do you know what I mean? And that's with £500 a month, which doesn't really fucking happen anymore, yeah? If you've got properties in London, yeah, where the average rent is probably no less than £1,000 a month, yeah? In 1 year, you're bringing in 12 grand. And in 2 years, you've already made the same amount that you would make after 5 years of charging 5 grand, right? Obviously, that makes sense. That's just basic maths, isn't it? What I'm trying to do here, chat, is I'm trying to illustrate just how much money landlords make. Now, if you have a certain size property, yeah, where you can fit like 4 people in it, you can fit like 4 tenants in it, yeah, then you can charge more money, can't you? Because you'll be bringing in loads more money. You'll be bringing in like, I don't know, if you got 4 people in a gaff, charging them each £500 for a room in a house, yeah. Well, that's the caveat, isn't it, Mark? They don't actually use it to repair anything. Landlords never fucking repair anything unless the council issues a repair enforcement notice, and they very rarely do that, right? Our landlord is making near $1 million a year while also making another 6 figures on being a private plastic surgeon. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's disgusting, right? Who needs that amount of money? That's basically what I'm telling you. Now, if you couple that with the salary of an MP, yeah? The salary of an MP is £86,000 a year. £86,000 a year. I don't think I could ever expect to make anything fucking close to that in my lifetime. Right? £86,000. That's 4 times as much as the average person, right? As a working class person. And on top of that, you're bringing in 30 grand a year from your fucking properties, yeah? If you've got more than one property, times that by however many properties you've got. So these scum are not content with bringing in hundreds of thousands of pounds a year. They're not content with that. And so there has to be concession. There has to be concessions for landlords. There has to be. There just has to be, because we're not getting enough money. There's not enough money. It makes me fucking sick. Kevin Hollenrake, the former chairman of the national estate agency chain Hunters, is also thought to be a potential rebel. Former chairman of national estate agency chain Hunters is a fucking Tory MP. I revealed last week that a group of... yeah, okay. The government's long-awaited reform of private renting will finally be introduced to Parliament as the Renters Reform Bill. It is understood Tory critics of the bill, which was due to come before MPs on Thursday before being delayed, will claim it's not compatible with the government's axing of housing targets to build 300,000 new homes a year. Well, that'll be a very funny argument, won't it? Because what they'll be doing is they'll be saying, you can't build 300,000 houses unless you let us evict people. Because we create houses, don't we, by renting them. Like, we let people rent them. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And of course, there's all this, like, bizarre... Like, imagine... At the moment, we have a government that's adopting all Jeremy Corbyn's housing policies, except we're not building any more homes. Well, they're right about not building any more homes. But all Jeremy Corbyn's housing policies is an insane thing to think, right? They're not happy with banning the right to protest. They're not happy with making it illegal to be a migrant in this country. They're not happy with effectively fucking genociding the GRT community. They're not happy with any of that. They have to take away the rights. They have to keep any kind of concession that they might make to the working class people of this country and do away with it. They're fucking sick, fascist scumbags. Every single one of them. Why should landlords be forced to accept that market forces don't apply to them when we're not committed to building more homes to ease prices? It's not the fault of landlords that the price of renting is going up. Yes, it is. You can literally change how much rent you charge. You can do that as a landlord. It's your right to literally say, I'm going to charge this much for my property. There's no minimum rent that you are allowed to charge, that you have to charge. It doesn't work like that. Fucking liars, every single one of them. Costs of being a landlord are much higher now, so why shouldn't landlords be able to charge more and rent their properties? How are the costs of being a landlord much higher? How? What are they on about? Oh, I've got all these properties, it's costing me more money. Like, what? Have you ever heard of ground rent, chat? Right? When you buy a house in the UK, you have to pay ground rent. And landlords always talk about ground rent. They're always like, oh, I'm paying so much in ground rent. I'm paying so much in ground rent. You can find out how much a landlord is paying in ground rent if you go on the land registry in the UK, yeah? 90% of ground rent was established 1,000 years ago. Or like 100 years ago. And it's like £4. I am not shitting you. We've literally found that on a lot of our like members' cases where the landlord is saying like, oh, the ground rent's going up, so I've got to charge rent. You go on the land registry and the fucking ground rent is £5. because it was established like 100 years ago. And the people who own the property, who own the land, are like the heirs of some fucking ancient land baron who's dead, and they forgot to declare it in the will. Do you know what I mean? So it's not gone up and it won't go up. You know? It's fucking absurd. There is ground rent that does go up because, of course, there are like lots of councils who own land, and it's within their best interest to like charge ground rent, you know what I mean, and put that up every year and stuff like that. It's not something that doesn't happen, but legitimately, like, even if they put up ground rent 90% of the time, it's completely fucking affordable with whatever landlords are charging, right? Another potential Conservative rebel claimed that up to 30 of his colleagues were prepared to vote against the bill, with another 20 looking to abstain at least. The MP, who also owns a number of rental properties, added, "There are a significant number that have issues with the bill. I remain sceptical about it. The best way to bring rents down is build more homes, make it easier for people to get on the housing ladder." But when are they going to do that? When are they actually going to do that? Instead, what tangible moves have been made to do that? You know what I mean? It's just something that will end up with like a circular argument and nothing ever gets done, and that's the end of it. "We now understand the bill may have been delayed, and some of us are hopeful this means Michael Gove is willing to listen to the concerns of people like me. I'm not entirely sure why it's been delayed, but whatever the reason, we now have a chance to ensure the bill does not introduce overburdensome restrictions on landlords who are key in any housing market." Shut the fuck up, man. Holy fucking shit. I swear to this fucking whining scumbag. Good God. Your landlord raised your rent by $150 this year. Where you based, Crack Pyrex? In a perfect world, it would be illegal to be a landlord and also a politician. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. It would be nice. New York City area? Well, there's loads of tenant unions in New York City. I would absolutely encourage getting involved with them. In fact, there is like a map of unions in the US, and I've completely forgotten what it is. But it's done by like a black liberation group or something, and I can't remember the name of it, but like, let me just go on Twitter real quick. I'm pretty sure there's a Brooklyn Tenants Union. North Brooklyn IBZ loft tenants. 400 plus residential loft tenants will be safe from eviction by the passage. I'll have to check that out for you, Crack Pyrex, because I'm absolutely certain. Isn't Ithaca in New York? I feel like Ithaca is like they've definitely got a tenants union. I saw people tweeting about that recently. Hold up, chat. I'm just gonna go for a wait. Ithaca's upstate, not near New York City. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's true. New York City tenants might be one. Let me just do a quick Google here. New York City tenants. Tenants' rights guide. Residential tenants' rights curb. Rent, own, sell. New York Public Library. Yeah, it's fucking annoying because like I had all these like tenants unions. New York Tenants Union. I had all these fucking tenants unions like saved in my like wait. Housing Justice for All, New York. Statewide movement of renters and homeless New Yorkers fighting for universal tenants' rights, safe and affordable homes for all. Yeah, Housing Justice for All, New York. Okay, this is like a statewide thing. So if they can't if they can't like help or advise you, yes, this is what it is. Yeah. They were talking about this on May the 3rd. On May the 20th, they're doing a march saying the rent is too high. You should get involved. There it is. There you go, crack Pyrex. And anyone else who's in New York. So do some research. Check it out. See what's going down. It seems like they're doing a lot of cool stuff. Appreciate you finding that for me. Hey, listen. This is like, there's been like, since I've joined GMTU, yeah, not only, we've actually had Americans who have been over here working or just like studying or whatever, and they've joined GMTU. And then they've gone back to the USA, and they've come back and been like, oh my God, we've got like a tenants union over here. I didn't even know they existed, and told us about them. And I followed loads of them. I'm going to have to like keep a list, because I remember like people in the US in the chat saying to me like, oh, I wish I had a tenants union over here. And then like a couple of weeks later found that there's like a tenants union, at least in their state, right? And if there's one in your state, that means that they know the law and they know what tenants' rights are based on your state. It's one thing knowing your federal rights in the USA as a tenant, but knowing your state, the right you have in the state you're in as a tenant, right? You got to know those two things in it. And I don't know how often it is that the fucking FBI is out here like evicting people, but like it seems like it's more likely going to be like state troopers and sheriffs that do that shit, innit? Right, listen, we're not listening to fucking Radiohead in Rainbows with the Mario 64 sound font. We're not listening to that. We're listening to Dreamcast drum and bass jungle mix. Right, anyway. Because, like, for example, yeah, some people... Hey, Sit for Rusk is the main topic, landlords and housing. For the minute, yeah. So, for example, in the UK, yeah, if your landlord wants to put your rent up, they have to do a Section 13 notice, yeah, if you're on an assured short-hold tenancy. So if you're on like a fixed-term tenancy agreement, like your landlord has agreed to like let you rent the property for like 12 months or 2 years or whatever, then they can't put your rent up during that time, yeah? Then after that term is done, they will have to issue you a Section 13 notice, yeah, to put the rent up. And then only when you've agreed to it officially can they force you to put the rent up or claim that you're in arrears for not putting your rent up. Then what you have to do is basically apply to a tribunal with the council to say like, look, you can't fucking do that. Do you know what I mean? I have this great article to share about housing. China is likely first country. What is this? China first country to reach 96% urban home ownership. I like you talking to Mulebot like it's a real person. That's pretty fucking funny. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I can kind of believe that in terms of, like, you know, the country that was, you know, run by Chairman Mao. I could kind of believe that they would have, like, far more home ownership than any other country in the world. You know? Venezuela's built 7 million public housing units. Yeah, like, you know, in Cuba, housing is a human right. No one is homeless. In Austria, same deal, right? Everybody has a home. You know, they built like loads of social housing. I don't know if it's like quite true for Austria that housing is a human right, and I think there are still homeless people there, but like significantly less than many other places in the world. Hey Skidator, how are you doing? Welcome in. Everybody go follow Squid. 96%, around 96% of home ownership. Yeah, I believe that for sure. Anyway, particularly what we're talking about is the Tory landlords who are, like, you know, pushing against the Renters Reform Bill. What is important is the government comes up with a full plan for housing, and as it stands, it's not clear how this bill solves much at all. In fact, it probably causes more problems by putting off landlords from staying with the sector. Insane take. Absolutely insane take, right? Oh, is that just Vienna has all the property of the households? It's not all Austria? Oh, right. Okay, yeah, gotcha. I was just thinking maybe a fun idea to arrive at a city council thing where they're talking about landlords and renting laws in a t-shirt with a big face of Chairman Mao on it. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, in this country, you could probably get put away for that. You know, with the way that they're arresting Just Stop Oil protesters and shit like that now. Do you know what I mean? In other countries where you've got freedom of speech, possibly, right? Unfortunately, in the UK, we don't have freedom of speech anymore. So maybe be wary of that if that's something you're planning on doing in the UK. A third Tory landlord has also said he also has issues with the bill, but has not decided whether to join any rebellion against it. Punishing landlords is not going to increase the stock of rental housing, he said. That is literally not what any of this is trying to do. The Renters Reform Bill is trying to give renters more security in their housing. That's what it's for. It's nothing to do with punishing landlords, yeah? Like, landlords will not suffer because of the bill. They will not have their material conditions affected in any fucking way, right? If anything, the bill doesn't go far enough for me and a lot of other people who support the bill, right? But I support it because it's an abolitionist-based reform, yeah? By the way, I take part in a tenants union to stop evictions. It's hard work, but it's satisfying. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, it is hard work. Activism in general is hard work, but, you know, it's got to be done, hasn't it? Like, that's how the revolution happens. That's how we build power away from the government, away from the establishment, by slowly more and more people taking part in, like, little bits of activism here and there that are, like, building power. Like, if you join a tenants union to build tenant power, that is building dual power. If you join a trade union to build worker power, that is building dual power. Like, all these different things build power. Mutual aid networks, you know, queer unions. You know, it's still waiting for someone in the UK or the US to start, like, a woman's union. Do you know what I mean? Like, that shit would go hard. It would go so hard, right? Anyway, don't let me mansplain women's unions to you. But it would go hard. It would fucking go hard. However, another Tory backbencher said the bill would pass without too much fuss. A rebellion any larger than 32 would result in the government relying on votes from opposition parties to avoid defeat at the bill's first hurdle. I can't see any Labour MP not voting for this particular bill unless they are landlords themselves, right? The bill, which former Prime Minister Liz Truss planned to shelve during her short residence in Number 10, was first announced by Theresa May in 2019 and formed part of Boris Johnson's general election manifesto, right? They ran on it. Housing Secretary Michael Gove is now attempting to implement the policy, which will become the first major shake-up of private renting since the 1988 Housing Act. Deregulated this part of the housing market in favor of private landlords by introducing the no-fault evictions and doing away with rent controls. Section 21 evictions currently allow private landlords to repossess their properties from assured short-hold tenants without having to establish fault on the part of the tenant. The bill has the support of Number 10 amid concerns from some Tory MPs over whether landlords will still be able to evict tenants for antisocial behaviour or rent arrears. It's just fucking ridiculous. The thing I'm worried about is if Keir tells every Labour MP to abstain or something else like the Tory fucking is. Yeah, he could do that. He could do that. He would absolutely cement, like, if... This is a big thing. I don't think people realize how big this actually is, right? Because this is one of the first bills in the last spate of, like, you know, horrific fascist bills that is not focused on marginalized people as a whole, right? There are definitely marginalized people who will be affected by this, overwhelmingly so, I think. But renting is something that is like fucking 80% of the population does in this country, right? Like maybe a bit less, maybe like 60%, but like the overwhelming majority of people in this country rent. We live in a renter's fucking economy, right? That's what the housing market has done to this world, yeah? So, I really hope for the UK that Corbyn runs as an independent with Mick Lynch as running mate. That won't do fucking anything. I don't think. I think that would be too little too late, personally. Do you know what I mean? I think that if they decided to create an independent party, I don't know. What would they get? I don't know. They might get, like... It could be possible to make a coalition government with, like, the Greens or something like that. Maybe. And form a majority. But I think any of that would result in a hung parliament, unfortunately. I'm not sure how effective that will be. But, you know, never say never. I just don't know if it's something that's going to happen. Where was I? Yeah, so this is a bill that is going to affect the material conditions of millions of people, right? And probably there is a reason why it's not like big news, it's not headlines everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It isn't like crazy fucking news for everyone. And it really needs to be, because if the wider electorate gets wind of this, and if Keir Starmer gets, you know, fucking decides to literally like tell everybody to abstain, otherwise he'll take the whip off him or something like that, then absolutely everyone will be like, Keir Starmer is a cunt. We're not voting for him, right? It will be political suicide if it gets enough attention. And it should get attention, because this will affect the material conditions of so many people everywhere. Everybody is well aware that we have a cost of living crisis. Rent is one of the biggest costs of any fucking household in the UK, yeah? And so, you know, if it gets the attention it deserves, Keir Starmer telling everybody in Labour to vote against it, political suicide. It would be game over. Any kind of support that he's got from, like, just not being a Tory will be fucking goners. Do you know what I mean? Because loads of people get Section 21s. My partner's just got a Section 21. Even though it's illegal, because she's still in a fixed term. She shouldn't have had any kind of Section 21 being issued to her until the end of her tenancy, right? But they rely on people not knowing that. They rely on people not knowing their rights and shit, you know? Don't you feel that Corbyn has been so thoroughly smeared back in 2018 so as not to be able to win any significant seats? No, I think he'd win seats. I think he'd win seats, for sure. Like, they would be desperate to try and do this again. But I think more and more people have now seen what Keir Starmer is and what he's done to the Labour Party to realise, oh, and also what Brexit and under the Tories has done to the country, that they would probably go, yeah, we probably should have voted for Jeremy Corbyn back then. We probably should have done that. Do you know what I mean? Whether they believe in the smears or not, they'll be like, yeah, it would have been a lot better than this, you know. So, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Keir Starmer, yeah, Sip for Rusk is right. Keir Starmer is like a useless tool, and I don't know, like, how much support he gets in general from the wider electorate. I know that, like, lots of centrist libs are like, get the Tories out, we need Labour, and it's like, you have no idea what you're asking for, you fucking idiots, you know? So who knows? At one of my old places, I got a Section 21. Yep, one of the very first places I rented, I got a Section 21. It was just it. I was just like, wait, what? I didn't even know it was a thing that could happen. I was like, wait, what? They could just kick me out whenever they want. And I remember asking my mum, and my mum was like, oh, well, yeah, he probably, like, wants to, like, decorate the place or something. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. He could decorate it, and then I'll stay living there. That's fine. I don't give a fuck. He doesn't need to kick me out to do that. I'll fucking help him if he wants. Do you know what I mean? It was absurd. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. And then, of course, the letting agent came in and was like, you've turned this place into a shithole. You're not getting your deposit back. I was like, holy shit, I know I've had some parties here, but that's not fucking true. Anyway. Reminds me of Margaret Thatcher calling Tony Blair her greatest accomplishment. Oh, yeah. 100%. Damn, people want to use their property. Crazy, right? Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? Nep Forks. You've, like, not been here for, like... When was the last time you were here? In July last year? Wait, but then you say abolish... Oh, I'm confused as to what your stance is here, Nep Forks. You say abolish 21 now, but then say, damn, people want to use their property. Crazy, right? What is your actual stance here? Hard to sort of parse what's going on there. Anyway, despite the backlash from some on government benches, Mr. Gove is believed to be confident he can fend off a major rebellion. The Tory landlords, Jacob Rees-Mogg. It's one good reason why some Conservative MPs may want to vote against their own government renters reform bill. It could hit them in the pocket. The current right for landlords to evict tenants wherever they wish allows them to sell up or sign up new tenants at higher rents whenever they want. And the thing is that the myth that landlords will just, like, sell up and that's it, it'll be game over, is so laughable, because who do you think they're going to sell to? Right? Who do you think is going to buy the houses? Right? Do you think they're just gonna, like, let the fucking thing stay for sale for, like, fucking years until someone buys it because housing prices are fucking ridiculous? Or do you think a bigger landlord with a lot more money will buy it up and continue to be landlords, right? It's a fucking myth. They won't sell the fucking gaffs. They'll continue charging rent because rent is fucking absurd anyway. And if they do all sell up and there's an influx of housing on the market, all the prices will go down. That'd be lovely. Exactly. But they won't, will they? Because that's not what's going to happen. People are becoming landlords at an astonishing rate. I actually did an interview for Wired about that, right? Just fucking absurd. According to research from Transparency International UK, 143 out of a total 363 Conservative MPs make money renting their land and property portfolios. Among their number are 5 cabinet members. Lucy Fraser, Jeremy Hunt, Swella Braverman, Alex Chalk, and Gillian Keegan. It's true. Right, so you do think that all landlords are... oh, no, you're someone else. Hey, Adam altogether. Welcome in. Sorry, another orange name. How you doing, Adam? Welcome in. Yeah, you're right. All landlords are parasites. It's true. Anyway. There are many more backbenchers. According to Parliament Register of Members' Interests, former Cabinet Minister Jacob Rees-Mogg rents out properties in Somerset and London, while the former Chancellor and Health Secretary Sajid Javid rents out a home in Bristol and 2 in London. Having 3 gaffs in Bristol and London is more than enough. More than enough for any kind of fucking landlord. Yeah? But I reckon Jacob Rees-Mogg has like fucking 20. Former Trade Secretary Liam Fox rents out a home in South London, while fellow Tory Kevin Hollinrake has a share in 5 residential properties in York. These are all like extremely affluent areas, by the way, where they could charge rents out the arse. Let's have a look for properties to rent in York real quick. Properties to rent York. Right, let's go to Rightmove. Properties to rent in York. Right. First one that comes up. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, £1,600 a month. That means if you're having 2 people staying there, it's going to be fucking £800 each a month, yeah? Absurd. Okay, there's one here. You got a bedroom and a house share, £600 a month. Jesus Christ, this looks like shit. Fucking hell, that carpet hasn't been changed since 1953. Wait, you get that in as part of the deal? Wait, that doesn't really make sense. So wait, you get this? Jesus Christ, that bedroom is absolutely absurd. Single bed, by the way. Oh my god. Oh my god, it looks like shit. It looks like death. Oh my god. Anyway. 800, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, available for maybe 2 bedrooms. That's pretty fucking reasonable and a little bit suspect. £825 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. I wonder why it's like that. Who knows? 3 double bedrooms, 3-story house, part furnished, pets considered, £1,100 a month. That's obscene. Absolutely fucking obscene. Who is affording that, man? 4-bedroom gaff, 1,000, 2 grand basically. 2 grand. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, £1,000 a month. £1,000 a month. How are you fucking affording that? Fucking ridiculous. Are bills included? Unfurnished. Unfucking furnished. It's unfurnished. It's got furniture in the fucking preview pictures. That's insane. Absolutely insane. Bills are not included. That's so fucking ridiculous. Good God. Anyway. The long and short of it, chat, is that these residential properties are going to be going for like £1,000 a month. 5 properties in London. Don't even talk to me about prices in London if you think fucking York is bad. Jesus Christ. It's not just Conservative MPs that enjoy the benefits of land and property ownership, although they do account for more than 2/3 of all landlord MPs. In total, there are 212 out of 650 MPs that have property interests, as well as 143 Tory MPs. Labour has 46 landlords, while the Liberal Democrats have 5. Research from Transparency International UK found that 143... Around 50 of those hold government posts are unlikely to defy the whip on the bill, but among some of the remaining Tory landlords, there is unease about the policy. There's believed to be a particular concern over the bill among MPs of the right party, which include hardline Brexiteer MPs like Rees-Mogg, Liam Fox, Adam Holloway, Craig McInlay, Nigel Mills, and Sir Bill Wiggin. All have declared to Parliament they have a £100,000 plus land and property portfolio, resulting in an annual income of 10 grand or more. Oh no! Cry me a fucking river! This article fails to mention that both Jacob Rees-Mogg and Sajid Javid invest in a company called Somerset Capital that is basically a corporate landlord on top of the properties they rent out. For Rees-Mogg, probably a lot. Yes, exactly. We're an investment management company that happen to invest in letting agents, landlords, and oil companies. Aha! Literally all the evil ones. Horrific, innit? Absolutely fucking horrific. With many MPs also being landlords, there's certainly a risk that their personal affairs conflict with their responsibility to seek safer, more secure and affordable housing for their constituents. Whenever parliamentarians are caught between their private and public duties, they're supposed to selflessly put aside their vested interest for the common good. It's true, and that would be good, wouldn't it, if we lived in that ideal world? But we don't. We live in capitalism. What's worse, we live in neoliberal capitalism, which means fascism.
I'm skint as heck, but you're doing brilliant work, as always, and I have to say bravo. Wish I had your guts and eloquence.
Thank you so much, person type thing. I really appreciate the dono. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. Really, really, really appreciate you. Chat, if we could get to £250 by the end of the stream tonight, that would be really, really good. We'd only need another £30, which would mean if 30 people are in the chat, £1 each. There you go. That's how you'd get it. That's how we'd reach it. It is possible. £1 dono train. When? I don't know if they show up as thingies. I'm pretty sure they do. £1 donos have shown up before, 100%. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the landlord moment. You hate to see it. I hate to see it. I hate landlords. Everybody hates landlords. It's all very shit and bad. But we're going to go on to some more nice news for the time being. We are going to go on to a pretty cool thing that I found on the internet today. So this is a blog post that has an interview with the subject of the famous logo for Goodnight White Pride. If you remember this image, 25 years ago yesterday, it was born. So basically, this is a Nazi skinhead getting kicked in the face by an Antifa super soldier. And if you know this image on the left here, this is where it comes from. So there's an interview here with Harlan Jones, the guy who did the kicking of the Nazi. So let's check this out, chat. Too based. We had to end on a high note. Many people are familiar with the Goodnight White Pride logo, a silhouette image of an anti-racist kicking a neo-Nazi in the head. But a few people know that the image comes from a photo taken at 1998 counter-protest of a KKK rally in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Last year, we ran an article detailing the history of the GNWP photo, but we weren't able to find out who the anti-racist in the famous photo was. Then, a few weeks ago, when we were contacted by the gentleman introducing his foot to a KKK supporter's head in the photo, here is what Harlan Jones told us. Who were you in 98? In 1998, I was 18 and working at this store on campus. 2 years before some people I went to school with had shut down the Klan when they tried to do the same thing. One of my good friends was arrested at that event, so in 98, I would see the posters all around campus. Come out on Saturday, we're going to fight against the KKK. So naturally, I was telling all my friends we needed to get down there and get into it and see what's going on. Everyone was always sitting around talking about how they feel about stuff, and we'd always say that we could sit around and be as conscious or as formed as we want to be about a situation, but as long as it was just us sitting here, then that's going absolutely nowhere. So you saw a disconnect between being conscious and taking action. Absolutely. Especially now when it's easy for people to forget, when it's easier for people to just post something and forget about the whole issue. Back then, it was more imperative to be out there physically. To me, it just seemed like something I had to be a part of. Have you ever been at anything like that, counter-protest, before? I used to do non-profit work with my uncle in California, and we used to do different stuff in the city where my father and aunties used to try and make sure that we were aware of what was going on around us. But as far as that kind of confrontation, that was kind of new to me. But then I saw the posters, I said to myself, I gotta be there. The beautiful thing about the demo was all the different faces and different races that came out. I always remember this really small college girl, I think she was Latina maybe, screaming at the top of her lungs with the fist in the air. And that's what it was. People who really believed they were doing what they were doing were right there all together. So I go down to the building, the union building on campus, and they're handing out blue bandanas, and lawyers are handing out their cards telling us they'll defend us for free if we're arrested. From there, we all started marching downtown. I remember us chanting, KKK, come to our town. What do? Shut them down. Then we got to City Hall. There was all the riot police with their shields and fences with barbed wire on top, all set up. This was the first time I'd seen that level of police activity. Then there were these people called the Peacekeepers. They had yellow jackets, and they wanted us to calm down and go somewhere else and sing Kumbaya and shit. How'd that go over with people? Really not well. People were shunning them, telling them to get the hell out of there. But at this time, there's really nothing going on. People are standing around, and I'm like, where's the action? And people are trying to figure out where the KKK are at. Then, all of a sudden, I saw people running in the other direction. So I ran that way, and there's like 5 people chasing the guy you see in the picture, his friend, and one of their girlfriends. One of them had been approached and asked if they were KKK, and he said yeah. So we were kind of chasing them. Oh, Emmy Faye! Thank you so much for the £5. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you for supporting the stream. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you. Not long to go, chat. Literally, £1. If 30 people donate £1, we'll get there tonight. Or if like 15 people donate £2. Or if like 10 people donate £3. Or if 5 people donate £7 or something like that. I'm not good at maths. Could be you, chat. It could be you that gets us there. Then all of a sudden I saw people running in the direction. There was like 5 people chasing the guy. We were kind of chasing them, and the smaller guy and his girl got away, but the other bigger guy, it just felt like everybody backed up for 1 millisecond, and I just came in and kicked him. I'll never forget that right after someone came up to me and said, yo, they're taking pictures of you, man. Change hats with me. So for the rest of the day, I didn't even have the same hat. But to me, that was a small incidental part of the day, even though the image is what it is. After that, we all went back to the thing, and it was... Sorry, I just love how he says this. I just love how he says this. I just came in and kicked him. I just came in and kicked him. So fucking funny. Hey, Middle-earth Marxist, how you doing? But to me, that was a small incidental part of the day, even though the image is what it is. After that, we all went back to the thing, and it was amazing how the crowd just started communicating with each other. The crowd was like, we're going to get up to the gate, and we're going to take it down. So you just saw people moving in small groups towards the gate, and we attempted to take the gate down. Peacekeepers were literally on their hands and knees under the gates, trying to keep us from taking the gate down. At this point, the Peacekeepers are fascists, aren't they? They literally are. If they're preventing anti-fascist action, they're fascists. Whoever these fucking Peacekeeper guys are. You know? Hey, Sleepy Time Queer, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. And then just like before, the crowd started talking, saying that there was a second smaller gate behind City Hall. So we started moving over there in small groups of 2s and 3s. The police tried to come from inside, but it was a much smaller gate. There was a rock garden across the street. Everybody just went over there and grabbed rocks and hurled them at the cops. It was the best scene I've ever seen in my life. The cops retreating. I swear to God, I've never seen anything more fulfilling than the cops running away like that. So we ripped down the gate and we're passing through the crowd and cheering when the cops come back, shooting tear gas, but shooting them at people. Oh, Papatato! Thank you for the £10. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Another £20, chat. In fact, it's even less than that. It's 17. It's 17. Thank you so much, Papatato. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Really appreciate that. So close to hitting 250, chat. We can do it. And my boy Michael took one right in the chest. When it was all over, we marched back down the street kind of in victory, you know? Me and Michael and a couple of people hung out and had some beers, talked about the day. Everyone's adrenaline was so high, you know? The goal was to have the KKK. Oh, awesome-o! With the £11.68. Thank you so much for donating, subbing off Twitch, supporting the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, shit! Chat, we did it. Chat, we fucking did it. You did it, I should say. You did it. Thank you so much, Anonymous, for the £5. Thank you so much, everyone, for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. I really, 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 really appreciate that. It does mean, however, that we got a goal of 150 to hit tomorrow if you want to unlock that double feature movie night. But stranger things have happened, chat. Stranger things have happened. We got to £250 tonight, and that's what matters. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. I appreciate you with all my heart. Thank you. The goal was to have the KKK never come back to Ann Arbor again, and we achieved that. I didn't even think about that one incident until the next day when people started calling me about the photo. I was getting ready for work when a friend of mine from work called me and was like, hell yeah, you're on the front page of the paper. And I was like, get the hell out of here. But she said, I'm dead serious, bro. So I rushed down to work to get there and see that I am on the front page. I instantly grab one of the razors off the shelf and head down to the bathroom and shave all the hair off my face and stuff. Because all the police used to come in the store every day and they all knew me. They knew that was me. Everyone knew it was me. And the crazy part about that was that they were so scared to prosecute me and have all this negative press on the university itself, they didn't even pursue me. Not at all. That's weird because the cops went after people pretty hard after the fact. But they saw me on a daily basis and didn't pursue me. You gotta understand, at the time, the university had a real problem with race relations. And I feel like arresting me was a war they didn't want to fight. I was literally the easiest person to find and they did nothing. How did other people react to the photo? I mean, everybody loves me, you know. To this day, I have friends that are so proud that that whole situation, they just had me come over and tell the story to their kids at dinner, just so they know they don't have to be scared to go out there and do something. That's so based. I love that shit so much. What do you think about people that would say you were wrong for doing what you did that day? You have to be very comfortable with the decisions that you would make. So for someone to tell me what I did was wrong, I would ask them whatever they believe in. When was the last time they did anything besides have a conversation about it? Oh, that's so based. You know, and I think about that as well when I hear, like, you know, you see these guys getting mad at Just Stop Oil protesters, and they say things like, they should be protesting outside Parliament instead, right? All you have to say to those people, chat, is, go on then. Go on then, bro. Why don't you? If you think they should be protesting outside Parliament, why aren't you doing that, bro? Why aren't you there doing that? If you think that that's what they should do, then surely you should do that. Like, that's your ideology. You just said that. That would be what your strat would be, right? So go and do it. Go and do it then. You know what I mean? Just like if people say, like, you know, you shouldn't defend yourself against Nazi violence. All right, bro, we'll go out there and defend Nazis then, since that's what you want to do. In the community, people sit around and talk about the hot topic, and I'm always like, well, if you're not going to do anything about it, how can you claim to be so passionate about it? Something you're not even willing to sacrifice something for. So I'm willing to take that. If I'm the bad guy for fighting against ignorance and racism and all that shit, hell yeah, fuck it. I'll be the bad guy for that. Did you see our post last year about Goodnight White Pride image and its history? This came to my attention when a friend saw some post about which US state hates blacks the most. And the illustration was the photo of this Nazi with 3 patches on his back. One of the patches was that Goodnight left side logo. Goodnight red side. Oh, so they got like their version of it. So my homeboy took a screenshot and sent me the photo and was like, yo, what the fuck is this? Nazis are rocking your shit? And he posted it on a Facebook. And he was like, tell me that's not Harlan kicking a Nazi in the teeth. So everybody was tripping out about this. So when I got it, I had to Google it to find out what this was about. And finding it that they were using it to try to counteract Antifa, that's how I came to find out about you guys and stuff. So you didn't know about the Goodnight White Pride until you saw the photo of the Nazi with the logo on his back? Absolutely. My best friend was like, you should really reach out to these people and tell them your story, because there's a lot of people out there that do the work that went behind that image, you know? And I was hella humbled, you know? Like, you never expect anything like that. I mean, from a situation that I thought was so isolated in my eyes, it's going on 20 years now, I was just so humbled. It felt so amazing. You weren't aware that the photo had been turned into one of the most famous anti-racist logos out there? Absolutely not. And now you've seen the neo-Nazis version. What did you think about that? I thought it was hilarious, just the irony of it. You can't make that up. We actually checked out some hate forums, and people were actually bringing up that maybe they should know where the photo comes from, and they don't give a shit, you know? Ignorance is bliss. But I thought it was crazy how somebody could be promoting this image and be so ignorant about where it came from. And they wear it with pride. But I was really glad to know that it originated from the right place, from people doing the right thing. Any long-term blowback for you over the last 18 years? Not really, no. I do a lot of non-profit work with young men, and sometimes I use it to talk about focusing anger people might have over things, or to give someone the confidence to know that no matter what goes on, if you're fighting for right, you go out and do that shit. A lot of people around the world have been really inspired by that image to take up the fight against fascism and racism where they live. Is there anything that you'd like to say to them? It makes me feel so humbled. It almost brings me to tears just thinking about it. More than any dream I could ever have in my life, it would be to have that kind of impact. Not just on one person, but on a group of people worldwide. That's so humbling because I'm just like them. No matter where we are or if we speak the same language, I'm just like them. And if seeing that is what takes them to get ready to fight physically or mentally for the right thing, man, I salute everybody that's out there rocking it. Everybody out there that's going out and doing something behind that. I salute that and I support that, and I will physically come and support that. Any organization that's out there fighting for right. In celebration of Haaland's famous kick, we're doing a limited edition run of Goodnight White Pride shirts and hoodies, with all proceeds going to the International Anti-Fascist Defense Fund. Get yours now. So there you go. How good's that, chat? Fucking buzzing. That was a really inspirational read. A really inspirational interview, I think. Super based. Buttery biscuit based. Based. As if the protesters are more inconvenient for your lives than the shit they're protesting. Yeah, right. Dumb shit. Anyway, chat, listen, that's it. That's the end of the stream. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. It's really, really, really been fun. I've had a lot of good times out here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Can you get a link to the article? Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. There you go. There it is in the chat. Harlan James. Is it Harlan James or is it Harlan Jones? Yeah, Harlan Jones. So listen, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We're going to go and raid one of my good friends on twitch.tv. So join me for the raid. We've got raid commands. Copy and paste them. If I get the command right, copy and paste them into the chat. And don't forget to hit me up on all the socials. If you are watching this VOD on YouTube, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the VOD channel. Would really, really, really appreciate that. And I'm just going to find someone to raid. Let's have a look at who we can raid. Holy shit, who are we going to raid? We're going to raid Fremily. I was talking about Fremily yesterday. They were doing some reactions to the... what do you call it? To the coronation. So we're going to head over there and show Fremily some love. They are fantastic streamers. You will like them a lot. And I will be back tomorrow for the final stream of the week. So don't forget that, chat. We need to raise that money. We need to get those donos in so that we can have a double feature movie night in the Discord. Oh yeah, also join the Discord if you want, because we have a lot of cool stuff going on in there when I am not live, which is most of the time. Anyway, I'll see you later. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the donos. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the follows. And I will see you tomorrow. Mwah. Stay excellent to each other, chat. Good night, good night, good night.